Hey y'all, and welcome in. I'm so excited for today's stream. I see all my mods already here. Hello to the lovely Aloha, Reaper, and Satyr, Benefit. And then we got someone new too. Hello to Mal. Or Mal, I'll go with Mal. And Empress, of course, the lovely Empress. So yeah, I took yesterday off. It's been a little inconsistent around here. Usually I stream every single day at noon. But your girl has just been tired. Oh my goodness. I think it was on Monday. I stream at noon, so I get up around 9 a.m. And I straight up took a nap from 10 to 11. That is the most unhinged thing. I woke up for like a few hours and just fell asleep again on the couch. Totally not intended. So I was like, I should probably take a day off. So I did, and all is well. Today's going to be a fantastic stream for a lot of reasons. Let's start talking about those. First, let me adjust my music volume. It looks so quiet. There we go. Okay. So first things first, let's talk about the question of the day. This is in our Discord server. You're more than welcome to join and vote there. Or just vote in your head. That's fine. And it's Aloha's question of the day. A D&D veteran comes to you asking for a unique character to play that they have not seen before. What do you create? I just picked a ranger because that's the only class I've ever gotten any flack for playing. There's so many ranger like reworks out there, and I personally like the Beastmaster. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's not. You can't do anything with it." I'm like, whatever. I don't min-max my classes anyway, so I would probably just say a ranger class that is liked in any way. There are so many reworks for this, but my favorite answer I saw in here was a paladin rogue, and have his god be a trickster god or god of thieves. I'm like, that is a weird combo. I like that. Oh yeah, my mic is showing. I don't care. I like the clutter. I thought about that. Reaper says, I'm already tired. I don't need any help. I'm feeling much better. Thank you guys for asking, truly. I was just in a kind of a funk, you know? It happens. It happens. Yeah, you have been pawning your fatigue off on all of us. Oh, Matt, how do I join the Discord? There you go. Or my mods are probably going to grab you in a second, so by the time you hear me say this, it'll be 20 seconds in the future. I'll let my mod ping that for you. But we'll put an invite in the chat for you. Alrighty. Oh, what else? The heist odds are better today, but the payout is awful, so do with that what you will. Thank you, Satyr. And then the freebie. So I share a free 3D printable STL every single day, which is also in the Discord. You should go over here to M3DM Daily Freebie, and there you go. It is this lovely elf gunslinger today. So yeah, if you want the 3D printable files for that, just click on this link and scroll down to the bottom. I also have all of my files are available there, all the goodness. The whole live stream is based on Patreon requests. So if you have a cool character or creature you want me to sculpt, there you go. All right. That's taken care of. Oh, look, you're already here, aren't you? Bam, welcome. I'm assuming that's you. It'd be very funny if it's just a coincidence it was someone else. It does happen. But yes, welcome in, join us. I didn't even introduce myself. Hi, my name is Mia. I make a 3D printable STLs for a living. So usually it's for D&D stuff. So like I have Thor here, nice and tall and epic. But most of the things that I create are for 28mm scale, like this. But what's cool about 3D printable files is that you can scale them up or down however you like. So that exact same file that you just saw for that little ranger also can be printed big, like this. And as you can tell, I don't paint any of my stuff. I mean to. I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it. But yes, it is you. You know, it's happened before where someone's like, oh, I'll join. And I'm like, oh, look, it's you. And just like coincidence, it was someone else. Oh, awesome. Satyr is starting you off with some poing. It's like, so poing is just a currency that you gain by watching and chatting during the streams. It's just a fun, goofy little thing. We do have a store you can like buy stuff. But for the most part, it's just for messing around and dueling other people that are watching. Oh, last thing that's special to today, two things actually. One, we are sculpting Reaper's original character today. Reaper is Taylor Beth, one of our mods. Lovely, super excited for that. And then secondly, we have a Tavern pet, which has already been paid for. So we'll be sculpting a Mad Mage during happy hour. Very excited. Unable to find now. It happens. Elusive. If you want to kind of get a quick head start on what the main event of the day is, we have it right here under Reaper Livestream Hub for Tavern Peasants. So at the very top here, I have all the details for this request. And then if you want to put any like inspiration pictures or things that you think would be cool, you're more than welcome to. All right. I think that's everything. I do have a new thing now where I just kind of pick something from my Pinterest board during the warm up here and I just try to sculpt it from scratch. Sometimes it picks up before a stream, sometimes I don't. But I'm gonna go ahead and just post. Mal says, thank you all for being so welcoming. We're pretty nice peasants around here. So here's my Pinterest board. Usually it's ZBrush tutorials. Here we go. But yeah, I just kind of scroll through here and I find something that I think would be fun to work on, and then I try sculpting that in 30 minutes. And I usually get decently far, but it's a nice time to kind of warm up and not have too much pressure. Usually, sometimes I sculpt lips from scratch. I recently did this cute little fox thing that came out quite chaotic and quite cute. So today, I think the one that is most interesting to me is sculpting this whole dragon. Can I do this in 30 minutes? I don't know. I can try. So this is what I'm gonna grab. I'm gonna grab this. I'm going to throw it into our tablet hub here. If you're also a 3D artist and kind of just following along, I encourage you to sculpt along with me right now. All right, so that's my reference. Oh, I'm gonna grab that and put it on my big board over here too. So that way it's not all tiny. Perfect. If you're on a Mac, just a little fun fact, if you do Command Shift and number 4, you can click and drag and draw a screenshot on anywhere on your monitor. I do this all the time. Perfect. I can leave that big right here too, even though it's a little cluttered. All right, all of the intro stuff and welcoming has been welcomed. You guys have been greeted. Let's get some sculpting done. All right, so the thing with these tutorials is I don't jump to the end because I know how I'd go about sculpting this end product. I've sculpted over 1,000 models at this point. Speaking of, I officially broke 1,000, I'm pretty sure. I'm like really close. But anyhow, but the point is when I do these little warm-ups is I try to follow it as closely as what they did as possible. And it usually forces me to kind of go outside of my usual sculpting patterns. That's why it's a fun warm-up. Hey, Pants here, welcome in. So let's start with this first little step, grabbing some primitives. That's pretty similar to how I would normally start. And I'm going to sculpt this working towards the camera. And just so I know where I am, I'm going to draw a couple of lines right here. All right, so next thing is grabbing a cylinder, append, cylinder. And I'm using my 3D gizmo to get this all nice and moved around, making sure symmetry is turned on. Looks like they have this a bit longer. And then another sphere. So to do that, just again, going to append, grabbing a bunch of pieces. Looks like they have this a bit smaller. And I'm surprised, but they managed to get a nice little taper on this cylinder too. There we go. All right, I say we nailed the first step. Let's move on. The next thing they do here is they kind of taper in this little snoot here. And they bring up the edge. So we're just beginning some secondary forms here. And then the very beginning of this nostril. So I'll come through and make sure I'm looking at all my different views because the tutorial is nice and simple because it's just one side, but we are working in 3D. So it's very important that we're actually gonna look at all the different faces here. And again, this is just the warm up. If it comes out great, wonderful. If it doesn't, we're just here to kind of practice before the main event. Oh, Emma's here. Hello. I think you're new, but I've had a few Emmas before. Hope to learn something from you. I hope you do too. If you have any questions, please let me know. And Taylor, of course. Welcome back, Taylor. Imposter Taylor. So right now I just found this little tutorial on Pinterest, and I think it's really fun to try to follow these tutorials because sometimes they go great, sometimes they don't. It's, you know, like those art books when you were a kid that you look at and it would be like a circle and then it's finished. I try to follow these tutorials live for you guys to kind of demystify it and see how the heck any of this actually gets done. So right now I'm going to use my trim dynamic brush and kind of flatten the side here. There we go. And again, I'm trying to follow the images here as closely as possible. I like to kind of flatten things out, keep it nice and simple. There we go. And now coming through with my standard brush, and now looks like we're kind of carving out where this eye socket is. Building up this brow, and then another little hollow right here. So kind of the very beginning of a cheekbone. Okay. Raper said, Mia, what if you saved your quick sculpts? So if you do the same lesson again, you can compare them to see your progress. That's a really good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to call this entire ZPR quick sculpts. And then what we'll do is we'll name one of the subtools in here, whatever the date is. So today is May 14th. So I'll just name it May 14th. Which means I'm going to go back in the past really quick here and see if I can go save our silly little fox that I did 2 days ago. Speaking of, we can do a little recap right now. So I had this really fun little guy that I worked on. I believe it's during this stream, so I should have it pinned. Yep, here we go. This is a very complicated sculpt. I picked this as a warm-up on purpose. Do you guys see like how much there is going on here? Like, he looks like a silly little guy, but it's actually very complicated. So I figured that'd be a really fun sculpt to try to tackle in 30 minutes. So here's kind of a quick breeze through of our progress. Again, this was done a couple days ago, but it was also on stream. So if you want to see this in real time, you can go do that. So yeah, this is kind of early on in that sculpting progress. And then my next stage of that, oh, the lips are still here too. I'm not going to save those. I think they look weird. I want to save little guys. Anyway, so you can see kind of different screenshots here of that progress that we made. And after 30 minutes, this is where we ended up. And I think it actually came out somewhat close to the reference, especially for just being 30 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and copy this tool, reopen the ZPR I just created, and then throw it in there. Quick sculpts. Paste. There he is. If I remember correctly, someone was upset that I wasn't going to save him, so he has been saved. I believe that was May 10th. There we go. Sater says, taking a duck and making it into a corgi fox is complicated to say the least, right? That's pretty much what happened here. Oh, Steamworks is here too. Welcome in. Yeah, isn't that the goofiest little guy? And again, I kind of pick these warm-up sculpts in the hopes of not succeeding, if that makes sense. One of my favorite lessons to give my students is create bad. And speaking of Empress, I wonder how that's going on your end. Okay, before I get too chatty, let me get focused again. So we're kind of caught in between the second and third step right now. Somewhere, we're kind of like right here-ish. So the difference between these two, because again, art is really just a big game of spot the difference, truly, is they're starting to define this like orbital socket, so just eyeball hole, and then this brow ridge and cheekbone. So I can strike these forms out to get here by using the damn standard brush. You can use standard too. Like whenever I say a brush, it's very rare that's the only brush you can use to get that done. And then my goal here is at the bottom, this little mug is sliding on to the next event. We're about halfway through, so let's see if I can kind of jam through here and get as much done as possible. Trying to get all this done in 30 minutes is kind of unhinged, but that's the point of the warm-ups. I want to show you guys to keep it loose, you know, don't get too caught up in being perfect. And setting a timer can be stressful, or it can be liberating depending on how you take it. There we go. Taylor says, Mia, I almost never found those follow-along books helpful at all as a child. I know, and most of us didn't. Not enough steps or reasoning behind the principles at play. Far more helpful to have a tutor to pick apart their mind. Agreed. Agreed. And I think Taylor there was alluding to, I have a mentorship program myself, and that's why I want to do these in real time, so I can kind of like explain you'll see every in-between step with me doing it right now. And a lot of my models that I work on during stream are for my Patreon. So some of them I do from scratch, but a lot of them I don't, because Time is money, honey. And I don't have time to do that every single day and maintain my business. But I can definitely do a 30-minute warm-up for y'all every day. And then everybody wins. And I really like sculpting from scratch, so that's honestly a big part of it. So right now I'm just kind of shaping out this mouth here. And you notice I'm going with like big, heavy strokes. It's kind of blobby and a little bit rough, but I'm not worried about being perfect. If I want to clean it up, I can just do ZRemesher with half turned on. And you'll see this is going to lower the poly count immensely. There we go. And keep it nice and simple. Just get the shapes down. Don't mind me like fussing over here. There's a tiny, my screen's really bright. So if there is a single gnat in the whole house, it will come find me. And it is spring, so 'tis the season. All right. I think the biggest reason why those books frustrated me as a kid is because, well, I was a kid and my expectations were so out of whack. I would look at the tutorial and be like, I can make that. But it's like, no, Mia, you're 7. You cannot do what this professional artist can do. Now that I am an adult, I have much better expectations and I'm able to get stuff done in a much more reasonable time frame with much better expectations. All right, so now we're gonna kind of rough out these like scale shapes. I'm simply gonna use the masking brush and kind of just blob them on here. Again, this is just a warm up, so we don't want to get too complicated here. I'm kind of floating between different steps here, but mostly following it in order. Looks like they're starting to connect this shape back. There we go. And let's kind of, they don't put an eyeball in for so long. Oh, that is so odd for me. But they do bring in that lower ridge. I think there isn't an angle that shows you the front of the model, but usually when sculpting dragons, there's more of a taper. So I'm going to kind of start that. Oh, it's Foxy. Welcome in. Welcome back. And yeah, what has everyone been working on? I would love to know. All right, and then the back of this head, they have much more flattened. So let's go ahead and do that. We don't have a whole lot of time left in the warm-up, especially because I spent some of it looking at that silly little fox that I made. So we're gonna go into like super fast mode now. Let's go ahead and get a neck and the ears. To add the ears, I'm gonna use Curve Tube. And I can do this because I do not have subdivision levels. If I did, this would not work. And to be clear, it's not like you're doomed to have subdivision levels forever. You can just delete them. All right, we're trying to get some main shapes in here nice and quick. I'm using Move and the back face mask to pull that shape down and then pinch to narrow it. There we go. And the next thing we're gonna do is use Curve Tube again, and this is to create the neck. I'm just gonna click and then drag a lazy S shape. There we go. And then split mask points. I knew it was gonna create 2 copies because I'm in symmetry, so I'm gonna simply click Auto Groups, delete the hidden one, scoot this over there and mirror and weld. All right, now that I have this nice and in symmetry, I can kind of get the shape improved here. Again, I'm gonna use Move and back face mask to adjust that silhouette. And then whenever it looks like it's getting a little stretched out, see how these polys are getting a little bit stretched? I like to use Dynamesh regularly to kind of keep this all where it should be. There we go. And so I'm looking at my reference and seeing this big shape. Again, don't sculpt what you think you see, sculpt what you actually see. And that might sound very simple, but I mean, quite literally, if you need to, turn your entire reference upside down and sculpt upside down. It'll force you to actually just sculpt what you see and not with like, oh, it's a neck, so it's gonna be curvy. It's like, maybe not. Maybe there's more flat sections than you'd expect. Emma says, yay, just joined Discord server. Oh, 200 people in one day, I love it. Are you guys into 3D printing? Oh, Are we into 3D printing? Oh yes, that is all I do. That is my whole business. 3D print, 3D print, 3D print. But yeah, so I do stuff for D&D and I mean, which means Pathfinder, Gloomhaven, all that good stuff. And then quite a few of the people that hang out in Discord server are part of my Patreon, so they're all into 3D printing as well. So yes, you are in good company. Especially if you have any questions about that. I have a lot of different channels in my Discord server that are specifically for troubleshooting. Because as we know, as wonderful as 3D printing is, it is a bit of a learning curve. It doesn't just happen. There we go. It's looking like a thing. It's a much rougher version, but considering we're doing this very chaotically and trying to do this whole thing in just like really 15 minutes once I give myself time, I'm quite happy with it. It looks like these have been merged down in Dynamesh, so let's go ahead and do that. Again, I'm trying to follow the tutorial steps in their workflow as much as possible, with still giving myself some flexibility. Because if I go line for line, then, well, one, the tutorial doesn't really get that much information, and then I would not get anything done on stream. There we go. Let's go ahead and add an eyeball. They add it way later than I would, which doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just kind of a thing that I use to reference shapes and all that good stuff. Oh, he looks so silly. I love it. There we go. All right, we're going to create an upper and a lower eyebrow, or not eyebrow, eyelid. So I'm going to duplicate this sphere and then mask the top of it. We're going to split this into two sections, and it's going to pretty much end up being the upper and lower eyelid. I'm not saying all the hotkeys that I'm using right now because it's quite literally a bajillion. But when we move on to happy hour, that's my time to answer all my student questions. So if there's anything you're looking at now and you're like, I need a step-by-step on that, we can definitely do that. All right, we now have two eyelids, and now let's kind of start to shape them. I'm using the move brush to shape them. I'm going to make mine look a little bit sleepy in honor of how sleepy we've all been these last few days. All right, I'm just about running out of time, so we're trying to get as much done as we can here. Bringing in some more secondary shapes, so I'm going to kind of find this ridge on the back of the neck, add a little bit more resolution, and then he has these really lovely like spikes, which I kind of ran out of time for, so we're going to use a curved stroke brush to kind of rapidly get that fit in here using size. There we go. And yeah, we'll kind of just get a bunch of these in here. And again, if you're doing like these like time trial things like what I'm doing, the trick is to not feel like it's the end of the world if you don't get stuff done on time. It's supposed to be fun. Think of it like, I don't know if you guys had to write a lot of essays in class. When I was in high school, we had to write an essay like every Friday in class for AP Lit. And it's just so important that if you see if you're running out of time, don't panic. Just do your best. What's like the most you can get done in a short amount of time? So I'm kind of just roughing in some shapes right here. Are they the most beautiful shapes? No. But do they make a lot more sense than what I had before? Yes. And that's what this is all about. Oh, I didn't get any like cool horns off the top of his head. I would like to do that. All right, go back with my curved 2 brush and kind of get these really cool. There we go. That's a bit different than the silhouette they created, but as I move on throughout the tutorial, I kind of want to start putting my own flair in it. There we go. Foxy said, yesterday night I had a very good discussion with Monkey regarding knowing what you have time for and your skill level. Yeah, and Monkey is a great person to listen to and stuff like that because they are like a practicing professional, creative, and they're just a genuinely wonderful person. All right, we have like 2 minutes left to kind of like rapidly get this going. So let's see if I can use my damp sander brush to kind of throw in some shapes here really quick that make sense, because I kind of whiffed this jaw here. They have a really interesting shape happening where there's kind of like a concavity on the backside, and I really don't ever do that. So that's pretty cool. Let's see if I can kind of create that here. Yeah, they got this like overlapping thing going on. Oh, and it actually brings the mouth all the way back. Oh, I didn't see that. That's really cool. Yeah, something kind of like this. And that's a really like smart way to divvy up subtools as well. Subtools are just different pieces within a model, so everything right here is a subtool. I definitely think mine is a little uglier, but he's got spirit. You know, he didn't even exist 15 minutes ago. Give him a break. We're gonna kind of rough in some more scale shapes here, making my draw size a little bit smaller. Kind of looks like a giraffe, which, I mean, I guess it's not the most unlike a dragon as far as shapes go. I'm gonna use the pinch brush, kind of close up his mouth a little bit. He's so goofy, I love it. Oh, Reaper, it's a great point. If you guys have any questions, just keep repeating the question and putting at M3DM until I see you, because I will see you, and I do want to answer your question. Oh goodness, there's almost 20 people here. Hello, welcome. You guys came in quick. And a new sub. Thank you. Kapaki. But yes, this is my ugly little dude. I love him. He's good enough. And it's so important to get good at this stage of just like rapidly iterating. Again, he didn't exist 15 minutes ago. This is the tutorial that I was loosely following. If you can, I mean, it's a tutorial. It's like a step-by-step, you know, without telling you how to do it. And it's different. It's way different than the style that I normally sculpt dragons. I'll actually show you guys a dragon that I'm working on right now after this. But it's really fun to like grab stuff like this. I have this screenshotted and shared in under the live stream hub for the day, which is called Reaper. That's our project. So if you guys want to follow along as well, I encourage you to get a little sculpting in. Or if you're a 2D person too, like get a pencil, sketch, have fun. The best seahorse out there. Yeah, he does look kind of seahorsey. Taylor says, I like the style of dragon. The forms remind me of seahorse. Perhaps you could lean into that. Yeah, I think so, and I can learn from that. But for now, he is done. Your existence was to just happen rapidly. I want to keep working on it, but we have to be done. Do we have time to throw a little bit of poly paint on? I think so. Just a little bit of poly paint. I'm gonna go with this like really beautiful, cool color here, and then a yellowiness for, no, let's do like a adjacent color. Let's do like a purple instead. And then I can come through and maybe add some green highlights. Just make this a whole fun thing. Let's go with a bit of a darker purple here. I'm breaking the rules a little bit. I didn't have time to poly paint, but I had fun. So it's my stream. I can do whatever I want. There we go. Darken this just a touch. And then I like going in with like a really simple two-tone. It's a little heavy-handed with the color, but that's okay. Oh, it's my dog snoring in the background. If you're new and you're like, wow, what is that weird noise in the background? It's my dog. Don't worry about it. There we go. Just a little bit of color. It adds a lot just to have something. I kind of want to add a green accent somewhere. He's turning into a bit of a color mess, but I like it. Let's go a little bit lighter. Okay. And then just for the sake of being thorough, let's put a fancy render on it. Comma to bring up Lightbox, render set, and these are like pre-done little render packages. They can double click and it'll just throw them on your model for you. I'm a big fan of radial overlay and preview AO. And then Sean's back. Hi, welcome back. And they say, how would you change, if any, your approach to dragon head versus a dragonborn head? For a dragonborn head, I really shorten up the snoot quite a bit to get more of that like humanoid look to it. And then the more dragony it is, the longer the face gets. All right, we're gonna go ahead and save this. Oh, I need to name something here, today's date. This will be May 14th. There we go. So yes, we have our May 10th quick sculpt and our May 14th quick sculpt. And hey, who knows, maybe in a year I'll be able to get more done in this amount of time. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this for like 15 to 30 minutes. And now let me show you guys a dragon I'm actually working on and taking my time, which is much more than 30 minutes. That is my cherry blossom dragon. And here he is. I'm very proud of this model so far. As you can tell, I had a lot more time to kind of play with the forms. I kept it much lower poly for a lot longer. This model is really going to shine once I have a pose going. So these are just like stickers that are on the screen. This is the only actual 3D model in the scene. That's why it's the only thing moving. But yeah, there's so much to unpack here and work and balance, but I'm very happy with how it's going so far. Foxy says, Mia, can you please just stick that dragon neck and head on top of a regular human torso? I can. Why not a dragonborn with a dragon head? I can. I mean, sure. We're actually going to move on into Tavern Keeper's Craft right now anyhow, so let's go ahead and do that. Hello again and welcome. It is Tavern Keeper's Craft, which is the main meat and potatoes of the stream. This is where we work on our main character. Everything I work on during this event is always a Patreon request. If you want to put in your own request for me to sculpt something and get the 3D printable file, you can do so by looking at Patreon. But now, let's look at what we're doing today. A couple things first. I need to go ahead and grab that dragon neck because we had a very special request. And now I have to do it. Which is to grab this goofy little dude that we did. I'm going to click merge visible, and copy that tool. We're now going to open my beginning ZPR. It's called this because this is where I have all of my assets I've sculpted throughout the years, and I can quickly kind of kit bash things together and then iterate new characters from. So we have this lovely lady. She's very simple, and she has become hundreds of different cool female characters throughout the years. This is just the base I start with. So naturally, I also have a male base, but we don't need that today. And then just for giggles, we're going to throw on this dragon head. This is obviously not going to be the actual model of the day, but just showing you guys why this is not quite how oh, there's still eyeballs floating. This is why I adjust the way that I do Dragonborns, because when you just throw a dragon head straight on, it looks like this. Which is fine. I'm not saying it can't be reworked. It's just not the style I would go for. I hope you're happy, Foxy. You know, if I put like a really cool like dress and like wings, I could make a really cool like ocean themed gown to bring all this together. But that's not today's request. So no. Let's give her back her head and eyes. Very good. And let's talk more about today's request. If you want to get all the details yourself, it's under Project References, Reaper. All right, big thanks to my patron and lovely Tavern Night mod, Reaper, for this request. They say, I'd like you to model my OC, so original character, Reaper, Naira. Her design is old, so I wouldn't mind a fresh take. I imagine her wearing an actual medieval fantasy dress that makes it apparent she's royalty adjacent. She's still a god, but it's still simple in style. She's very reserved compared to the other gods. I want her to be emaciated to the point that she'd be dead otherwise, and I want her dress to make that emaciation apparent. You don't have to keep the cloak if you don't want to. I'd also like to request her in an A pose as well, and that's so she can rig it herself later. And then here is her lovely OC. She drew this. If you are interested in getting art in this style and supporting Reaper, because she's wonderful, you can do that. Right here is their KoFi. I highly encourage check them out. I've bought several things from them, and you should too. Oh, also, this is great. This is one of my favorite quotes from Reaper ever. Then they're helping me out with my own designs. And they say, intention is the key to good art. Intention is the light side to mumbling's dark side. Because I say it all the time during stream, don't mumble when you sculpt. So, that is beautiful. Again, intention is the light side. Wonderful. Alrighty. And then Reaper picked out some medieval dresses I can reference. They specifically mentioned they like the concept of the sleeves being separate from the dress. I like this too because I can really kind of sculpt in that bony shoulder area. So this kind of separation, but not quite this style of dress, more of this and this style of dress. And then reasonable shoes, which we'll see if I have to sculpt those or if I'll cover her feet with a dress. We'll see. I hate sculpting shoes. Doesn't mean that I won't. Just means I generally avoid it if I can. All right, well, I guess the first step here is going to be some skinny ladies, isn't it? And adjusting this base body. All right. Right now I'm looking at the reference here and kind of seeing like her hair and her general proportions. Even though it is a 2D character, a lot of this will translate to 3D. Yeah, those shoes are beautiful. Quality reference gathering. Agreed. Look at the tailors getting along. In my chat, ridiculous. Well, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of kit bashing to do because overall there's not a ton of assets for this character. It's pretty much hair and a dress, which is, thank God. Whenever I do like paladins, I always have to brace myself because paladins are in full plate, which is so many bits of armor and so many different individual things to sculpt. I am so in the mood just to kick back and sculpt the dress today. Oh, my dog is awakened. Hello, awakened. Are you already bored? Okay. I'm going to refill my water really quick and then run off and deposit the dog with Ricky because I can tell he's already bored and not having it today. So I'll be right back. I'm back. And freshly watered as well. All right. I can just tell the dog was wide awake today. We got him some new toys yesterday from Costco. And so now all he does is stay awake all day and play, which is great. But I'm also like, not during the stream. So he's been deposited with Ricky, and now we can get back to what we're doing. All righty. Yeah, how am I 10th in my own stream? I'm literally always here. Oh, Foxy, what? Are you towards the top in surprise? Because you shouldn't be. Or are you not even in the top 10? No. Alright. We're focused. So right now what we're doing is we're going to grab a bunch of pieces to kind of get this character started. We have our first little stamp thrown down, and now let's see if I can grab anything that's going to suit her. Her hairstyle is somewhat simple. She's got 2 strands that are pure white, and then kind of like these split bangs essentially, but it's a longer hairstyle, but fluffier. So I want to look for something that has separate sections that'll be easy for me to manipulate and move around. This would probably be a pretty good base just to start. So at the beginning here, it really is kind of like, I call it kit bashing, if you guys are familiar with that. It's pretty much just taking pieces and throwing them together, and then obviously we refine as we go. I can't imagine being like, okay, there you go, you're done. This is just the beginning. I also didn't grab any references of people that are very skinny. If you guys could put like PG, please, references of like emaciated people or art, that would be great. Please no like prisoner of war references. I might need to gather these on my own. Alrighty. And then this dress, either this one or this one are the ones of me referencing most heavily. I like the low belt a lot, and I can really kind of grab that around her hips. So I think I'm going to go with this one to reference more closely. Okay. I don't need anything else from here, so go ahead and delete hidden. Or delete all. And then the dress itself, I just don't feel like working from an asset in this case. I'm gonna make the dress from scratch. I'm just in a dress mood today. I don't need the dragon head. And then just to kind of grab the belt to get blocked in, this will work perfectly. There we go. I think I do have somewhat simple flats. We can grab these. I don't think they're going to be visible, but if I need to edit them. Actually, you know what? I know they're probably not going to be visible, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to be a nice, long, flowing dress. And same with the sleeve. I'm just going to make those from scratch. All right. It's going to be a mostly from scratch day. Fantastic. Let me get my music re-put in my ears. There we go. Try carved cadaver monuments for references, and you might not want to Google that on stream. That's reasonable. All right, I'm gonna grab these references and throw up on my other monitor, and I can keep this nice and small so I don't miss you guys if anyone puts in additional inspiration or comments or just general goodness. There we go. Thank you. This is going to be a really key reference. And those are PG enough. So thank you. Thank you, Sater. All right. Just loosely putting this belt in the right spot, because anywhere where there is a bone, such as her pelvis, is not going to get any narrower, because that's not possible, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put the belt where it's going to be the widest point of this character, which is going to be her shoulders and her hips. There we go. And then we'll go with kind of this. I want to match her color scheme as much as I can, which is kind of like this muted purple. Her hair is essentially black, and we'll get those strands in later. And then very fitting, we have a necromancer heist today. All right, let's get some work done on her face. She's looking positively too alive, if I do say so. I'm gonna hide her hair just for a moment. And now let's kind of just put a yellowishy green skin tone, which will match this original character just here. That's about right. Her eyes are, looks like they have green scleras and then a yellow pupil. Let's go with more of a goldish color, because I do think the character is beautiful in its own right. Doesn't need just to be terrifying looking. Let's go with a darker green first and then lighten it up a touch. We'll go with that for right now. Perfect. The brows are pretty thin. They sit a little higher on her face. I'm going to give like a slightly softer expression, but not necessarily sad. Her eyes, again, this is, I'm interpreting a 2D piece here, so I kind of need to make some decisions on the eye shape here. It's a bit flatter, not saying almond shape, but we're going to bring this down just a touch. Oh, that is very cool, Foxy. Thank you. You guys are putting in some very helpful references. Thank you, thank you. I think giving her like a tall eyelid area showing, it's going to emphasize her orbital socket and really give her that emaciated look, but still very printable. There we go. Her lips will be very thin, because obviously she is very thin. Anywhere where there's going to be buildups of fat, so like her cheeks, the tip of her nose, anywhere it's like even cartilage heavy, I'm going to try to narrow down as much as possible. We're going to throw a bit of poly paint on here too. I'll go with this green, pitch it to be a little bit more on the yellowy side and then shift the hue down. I don't want her looking just straight up jaundiced though. I do want it monster glam, I guess. But still on the reserved side. Let's see if I can get a bit more of a purple hue here. Muted purple. There we go. This is also just to make her feature stand out a bit more. Let me get that same purple with her lips. We're going to go with a bit of a brighter purple just for me to get this shape correct. And that'll kind of help me not lose track of the edges here. I really exaggerate the edges of the lips with a Damn Standard, that vermilion border. In real life, it's actually quite soft of a transition. All right, flattening her lips a touch here. But I don't want there to be too big of a gap between like her nose and the top of her lip. The larger you make this gap, the more, if you're not careful, you're gonna make your character look kind of like a monkey. So. But I do want to give her a fairly long face. And she's already going to look like that because she's not going to have any of this buccal fat on her face. All right, and I don't want her lips to be quite that purple. She's looking a bit glam. So let's kind of mute that a touch. I do think it'd be cute if she still had a somewhat pronounced, like, Cupid's bow. I just like having these sharp features in here and sharp angles. All right, now we're gonna go with our Damn Standard brush to kind of like use construction lines almost to map out harsher features. Like her chin's gonna jut out, same with her cheekbones. We're gonna really carve in under her eyes. Because tired. Even in the reference, looks like she's drinking coffee. I'm not sure why that brush is skipping, so we'll just do it one more time. There we go. Alrighty, and then the edge of her, you know, her eye socket is going to be somewhat showing. I want to kind of walk that line between dead and undead. So we're going to lower the resolution so it's easy for me to really push her proportions without it getting too lumpy. If you try to sculpt these things on at a high resolution, you really risk your whole model just getting a little overworked. Again, the fewer polys there are, the fewer things that can go wrong. Every time you say standard brush, it sounds like you say damn standard. That is because I am. There are two different kinds of brushes. So if you zoom in really, really close here, you can see it's D-A-M, damn standard, literally. And then there's a standard brush. So yes, one is kind of like a crease brush and the other one builds up volume. Though technically you can build up volume with damn standard too. But yeah, it's just D-A-M, not D-A-M-N. I believe it's the last name of the person who created the brush. All right, so right now I've kind of mapped out where her cheekbones are roughly. I also want to build up the edge of her eye. There we go. Let's look at these very, very skinny people. Because it does kind of bow in when it connects up here, which is the actual skull showing through. And I'll use the standard brush with Option held down to kind of invert the way that it functions. And then I'll gently smooth this transition here. Make her face a touch longer, so I'm going to use my move brush to kind of push in the sides here and then elongate her face just a touch. Her nose is a bit small right now. Usually I always harp on the fact that you want to have like some material right here, like your face doesn't just cut straight in, but in this case it kind of does. And kind of work up that jaw bone to be a bit taller too. And then again, thank you, Reaper, for trusting me with your beloved original character here. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this, even if it takes me a little bit to get it just right. Just gotta trust the process. There we go. So now I add resolution back, you can kind of start seeing these forms come through. And again, it's a bit lumpier than like a skull is going to be because there is still some flesh. Empress is here. I have returned. Oh, we're on the main event. Yes, we are. We are sculpting Reaper's original character, Reaper, or Naira. I'm going to be a little more heavy on the stylization here, partly because I'm working from a 2D reference, but also because I really want to make sure those cheekbones really stand out. I'll come through with standard, but inverted to kind of continue to hollow this out. And I like that there's some pulling. See this like strand right here of tissue? I want that to be there because I don't want her to just look like a skull. She's emaciated to the point where she would be dead if she was not a god. But she is a god, so. And as a result, I don't imagine she's actually like suffering or in pain, so this is going to be the most comfortable, emaciating looking person you've ever seen. Her character comes across as really wise and thoughtful to me. So I kind of want to have this like relaxed expression, a bit on the soft side, but not looking tortured. And that's why I'm trying to walk this line of she still is quite beautiful. I'm going to push the lip back a touch here and then round off this chin. You have to be careful if you make the chin too long, it starts looking a bit masculine. There we go. Faces are very, very sensitive. Make sure you take your time with them. All right, I'm gonna lower her face just a touch. There we go. And then this would be pushed forward a touch. I think she has a pretty straight nose based on what I can see in the reference. Reaper says to me, fun fact, it was either her or one of my hero girls. I remember you saying you don't do modern, so I give you Reaper, and she is more fancy. I do appreciate that because I do love her. Remember one of the first things I asked you was like, where did you get your avatar? Did you make that? What is that from? Foxy says, you need to have things like the tendons and such visible under the skin, but the skin pulled taut over the bones and surviving soft tissues. Exactly, exactly. I'm probably not even going in harsh enough. So this is another interesting thing I have to kind of navigate here is that if I make her super, super skinny, the way that maybe the character could be, a tiny neck would look odd and kind of throw out the proportions and also wouldn't be very 3D print friendly. So I have to kind of walk that line of creating the illusion of emaciation with sculpted details without making the model hopelessly fragile. And it's not just for a 3D printing reason, it's also because she'd look quite silly if she just had like a little pin neck, you know? So right now I'm really exaggerating these. I can never remember what they're called. It's a really long name. All right, I'm gonna narrow those up. And then we're gonna push in these pockets right here, which is right above your collarbone. All right, removing that material, hollowing that out at a somewhat low resolution. I'm gonna use standard brush for that. And then we're also gonna bring up the collarbones. And this is great because all the work I'm doing here will be kind of shown off by the dress that I sculpt. We're not too far off from starting on the dress, but I really need to get this started before we went too much further. I'm not gonna worry about this too much because her hair is gonna cover quite a lot of this. She'll end up looking somewhat muscular, honestly, because she's going to be so skinny. It's going to show quite a bit of definition. But I also want to make sure that she's not too broad. There'll be a little bit of bone or her ribs peeking through, so I can start to work those up. I can also remove like these little like modesty garments. It's just sometimes because YouTube cares, but honestly, YouTube hasn't cared in a really long time. All right, this is going to be quite hollow at the center here. There we go. We're going to reduce the size of her lats and her traps, which is her back muscles, because again, very emaciated, which means I can bring out her shoulder blades. Oh, this is tricky. I'm like, how much material can I remove here? I'm like, more. So this bump right here is actually the end of her rib cage. That's going to be there still. So you don't make a character skinny by doing this. That doesn't make any sense. You need to make sure there are like bones still there. So we call them like bony landmarks. So what you're actually going to do is make sure you kind of find where that bump is going to stay. Because you can, the rib cage is flexible. You can move that around a touch. But I'm saying it's about there. And then you can kind of soften that mask and then start to emaciate. I can even kind of strike in with my standard brush. Damn standard brush. There we go. What that shape would look like. And then because she's so emaciated, she really wouldn't have any breast tissue to speak of. Relatable. This is a little past itty bitty titty committee though. We're just nothing. Something more like this. Again, we're just kind of getting these shapes blocked out before we start on the dress. You can kind of see naturally the way that her pelvis is going to start to stick out right here. But that means everything in between her ribcage and her pelvis, free game. I can just crush that in. if you guys have heard of this. This is why like some celebrities or lunatics, they actually get their lowest, most rib removed so that they can have an even more crushed silhouette. Please don't do this to yourself. Unless you're a god, then do whatever you want. Sater says, Mia, I just about spit my drink out. Just thought you should know. Was it about the itty bitty titty committee? I'm assuming you're probably not a member. I spend so much time talking and listening to myself, whether I want to or not, that I become a bit dulled to the things that I say. I guess that was a bit funny. All right, her vertebra is going to be sticking out. I don't really know what those are going to look like, so I'm just going to make these little bumps there to remind myself to come back and do a good job. All right, all of this tissue here, like your glutes, your butt is muscle, but honestly, it's also a lot of fat. So this is going to be pretty concave right here. I'm really just staying true to wherever that pelvis is, which is this shape. I'm honestly not super confident in it, so we will grab a reference. Always reference. Always, always, always. And that's why a lot of people, everyone, I would say, like women, they have this bump right here and like, oh, I hate my hip dips. I'm like, it's literally your bone. So don't trust any workouts or people that are like, oh, remove hip dips. I'm like, that's a bone. You're not going to remove it. So yes, she would still have those. All right, that's good enough. She is looking much skinnier. I am going to elongate her neck just a touch. Big fan of long necks, especially for a character like this because she is, as Reaper mentioned, royalty adjacent. So a long neck is beautiful, but it's also gives me more room to like fluff up her hair and that kind of cool stuff. Sater said, no, I love that too, but we said she wouldn't really have much breast tissue. Relatable. Oh, yeah. You know, you can't have it all. So, oh well. Emaciated god of food, only eats the best of the best, as such is skeletal thin. Also relatable, except not skeletal thin by any means, but oh god, your girl is picky. Empress, joke's on you, my bones get filed with a bone saw. There you go, I guess you would be hip dipless then. Reaper says, I mean, depending on how much weight you have, men are in the itty bitty titty committee by default. This is true. I definitely know some guys that have way nicer boobs than I do, like objectively. And I'm like, that's just not fair. It's one of those things I definitely cared about a lot when I was younger, because that's pretty normal. But as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, that really wouldn't suit me anyway. So there you go. A little bit of body positivity for us today. I like it. Okay, we need to put some clothes on her. We're going to hide her hair because I really just want to get close. Okay, so we're going to construct the dress now. If you are an aspiring 3D artist or want to see cool things happen, pay attention. Things are happening right now. We're going to start working on this purple dress. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a little screenshot of it and put it on my other monitor so I can look at it bigger. Perfect. All right, we're going to construct this in 2 separate pieces because it is easier for me to pose and to deal with. And the sleeves will be separate, so I guess 3 different pieces. Here is how you make a dress. We're going to make the top first, and it's going to have this really wide neckline, partly because it's just pretty, but also so we can really exaggerate and show off a lot of her chest. I'm realizing that doesn't make sense the way it's going to connect to her sleeves. I don't want to do a halter top though, then because you won't see it. I'm thinking, I'm cooking. What neckline would make sense? I can do the same neckline and just have a detached sleeve. Yeah, that's fine. It's going to be kind of off the shoulder. And again, you're pretty much just going to like paint it in with a mask, and then you can refine that with mask pen. Again, I'm gonna have this neckline as swooping as possible to show off as much of this body as possible. We're also gonna kind of seat it down a bit over her pelvis, and then I'm also gonna have it dip back quite a lot. Maybe even a few like not ruffles, but like layering fabric bits right there, just to kind of show the spine too. All right, very good. Once you have your mask in like the shape that you want, go to extract and accept. If you don't click accept, nothing actually happens. And then we'll ZBrush it a few times to make sure it's nice and simple in topology. Because by default, it looks like this, and I'm not a fan. Reaper said, I gave Reaper a long neck, originally just because I want her hair to be poofy. I'm so on the same page. Love it, love it. How about no back? Oh, hi Matt. Forge Many Things says, this was an odd time to drop in and read the last few chat messages. Yeah, it happens. Welcome in. It's never boring around here, I'll tell you that. All right, this is a good start. I got a lot to do still, but it is a beginning. All right, let's make the next part of her dress, which I will also kind of overlap the hip. The reason why I have both these sections overlapping this hip area is because I honestly don't know how I'm going to manage it with making sure that the pelvis bones kind of stick out still. So by having them both covered a touch, it's giving me a bit more flexibility on how I'm gonna figure that out. I can either have the dress part, like the skirt part, terminate there, or the corset part terminate there. We'll see. It's not really a corset, but that's just what I call the top bodice section. All right, we're gonna pick a muted purple just to make this easier for me to see, and that's probably closer to the final color scheme I'll end up with. All right, you're probably wondering, gee, that's a really, really short skirt, Mia. That's how you do dresses and skirts. You do a little section up here, then mask, invert the mask, and drag straight down. Bam, really quick and easy. I did all of that with a 3D gizmo. These polys are obviously really stretched and pretty much unusable, so I will do ZBrush with same turned on, which honestly, I don't really have enough polys still. So we're gonna subdivide it once and then click ZBrush by same. Whether it's same or half just dictates whether it's going to try to preserve your current poly count or reduce it by half. All right, and then there are beautiful fabric folds on this that I'm probably gonna do a combination of sculpting by hand and simulating. It's not quite like mermaid shaped. Ooh, I have an idea. Okay, so I'm seeing here that I'm starting to try and figure out how to keep this pelvis bone showing. And the reason I'm so obsessed with keeping this pelvis bone showing is because it's a really interesting silhouette point. And it's just a cool point of the model. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tuck this skirt in, and instead the bodice is gonna be this V shape. And that's really gonna, isn't that like old like 80s aerobics leotards? Like they're super tall and hiked over their hips. They kind of give the same effect. All right. Making it nice and pointed, and then that will really give a nice point for those pelvis bones to show. Scoot this in, and again, we're still gonna adjust the body a bit and whatnot. There we go. I just want that sharpness of the silhouette to be really apparent. Oh, she's not contained. Okay, we'll mask this and just scoot that on back a little bit. Don't forget you're working on a 3D model. Rotate. There we go. Beautiful. Wow, it's really hard to cover up the pelvis bones without covering them entirely. Okay, there we go. And then I'm probably gonna do a belt, which is also gonna be tricky because I'm like, how much material can I put here before I lose the silhouette? We'll just make it really exaggerated. And then this will be a darker color. I'm not sure. We're gonna go with a light purple and everything just to start with. And then I will adjust as I go. And she will have hair soon, but not yet. Maybe the belt will just be like up here. No, it's a bit eerie. I mean, eerie's not bad here. All right, we're gonna sit it on her hips for now and we will figure out, there we go. The answer is close. I've not found it yet, but I'm close. There we go. I want this, again, pushed off her shoulders as much as possible. One, it's just a fun dramatic shape. And then two, it just emphasizes the work that I did on her body. Perfect. All right, let's get the sleeves. Sater says, Mia, below her pelvis, above the thigh muscle. Like here. Right? I want this as low as possible, but like it's so weird because like I would never wear a belt here. It does work. That works better than I expected it to. New temporary position. All right, let's get the sleeves. All right, they're really pretty, fun, flowy sleeves. They cap right above her elbow, I believe. Yes. So we're going to construct the sleeves in two sections. We'll have the top piece, which again, you guys kind of caught on here. Whenever you're making clothes, you just mask the shape of it, extract. There you go. You can now make clothes. Mask, extract. You're done. Obviously, a little more complicated than that to clean up the topology and whatnot, but you're like halfway there. I use ZBrush by Huff and Polish by Features to do a lot of that work for me. Ooh, maybe instead of having her dress have high shoulders, it can be low shoulders. I would love that. Yes. Big fan. Oh yeah, I like that way more. I wasn't sure if it'd be too like black tie. All right, we have a lot of work to do still here, but I'm excited for it and it's coming out really lovely. The taper on her ribcage it's going the wrong way. It's making her look like she has really saggy boobs, and that's really the opposite of what's happening here. So I'm reshaping her chest cavity here a touch to better portray what I want. I'm gonna look at some better references too, as far as her actual body. There we go. And then we'll have, I'm really looking forward to doing the striations on her chest. I usually do this for pectoral muscles, but in this case, it'll be ribs. And I can turn on transparency to make sure this is gonna fit. I'm probably gonna use quite a bit of fabric simulation to get this going correctly, which is cool. I don't have a lot of opportunities to use that. Here we go. So we have more of this concave shape. There we go. Because this actually, this shape right here, it's gonna be really pretty. And then I actually will have an opportunity to sculpt her sternum bone too, which is just like the center of your chest. A lot of things I don't have the opportunity to really focus in on as much. So this is kind of cool. And then I'm really focused on this being like skin tight, but I'll probably end up making like a separate piece of fabric, kind of like this, the way it's folded over. This is gonna be pretty cool though. I'm excited. Okay, I'm getting too distracted on the dress. Back to the sleeves. All right, for the sleeves, we'll go ahead and just mask this section here. And you guessed it, extract. I agree with Sater. Like, it might make more sense to have her belt above her pelvis, but it's not nearly as appealing. It kind of muddies the silhouette. And silhouette is king. Silhouette always wins. All right, to make these draping sleeves, we're simply going to mask the bottom here. And then grab my lovely transpose line. That's you find that by clicking W for your gizmo, and then Y. Y as in yak will switch you back and forth between the gizmo and the transpose line. If you're wondering, are they different? The answer is kind of. You can technically do the same things with each one. They just operate a bit different. It's whether you want to like draw a line out each time. It's better for like organic shapes or if you want to have the gizmo. But fundamentally, you can do the same things with each one. All right, we're gonna subdivide once and then zero match it same. Ford says, I'm getting Yzma vibe from the Emperor's New Groove. A little bit. I want to say part of it's the purple, but yes. Reaper said, I figured this would be a nice challenge since you're used to sculpting muscles and such. I really am. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I know how all these fit together, but I'm used to covering them and stuff. I'm like, okay, a layer deeper, a layer deeper. Nope, all the way to bone. I'm like, okay. It's a good one though. Yeah, the SNL skit. It's like more cowbell. Yeah, this is gonna be like that, but more sleeve. We want all the sleeve. This is not nearly enough sleeve. This is a pitiful amount of sleeve. More sleeve. Oh yes. Perfect. Let me use my inflate brush to bring this on top. Oh, I have to sculpt her hands too. Oh God, skeletal hands. Okay, I can do that. I'm gonna need to make her arms a bit longer for this to even make sense. Just a touch. I'm gonna use my transpose line for that and just boop. It was like 5%. We need the space. There we go. Nice and straight on top because we don't have any of those pesky forearm muscles, which thank God I know how to sculpt those anyway. There we go. I'm going to turn on double so we can see the back side of the sleeves as well. Nudge that over. Ah, yes. More sleeve. Empress, use the brush, Mia. Wrong brush, Mia. Oh my God. Yes, I love Emperor's New Groove. I watched it somewhat recently too. I love that we're all talking about Yzma. This is great. My people, my peasants. Put a lever on the base. Okay, no. It might be too close to Yzma. Okay, no, not even close. We're getting silly now. Let's be real. If I had her in like a navy blue, none of you guys would even be saying that. Actually, you know what? Only turn the tables here. It's not close enough to Yzma. Ooh, I like this back a lot. Yeah, and this, doing the off shoulder will give me more opportunity to make this fabric fold here that I was looking forward to. Yeah, cool. Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And then I'm gonna have the belt sit right at the widest point of her pelvis. Something like that. This is getting pretty smushed around, so I'll probably make a new belt entirely. But you guys get the idea. This needs to be more of a V. Scoot. There we go. All right, let's get a few more shades in here. So I'm gonna add some gradients because those are my favorite. And then we'll finally get to work on her hair. She's been bald for much too long. And honestly, the hair is one of the things I'm looking forward to the most on this model. Very cool. Aloha has not seen Emperor's New Groove. You gotta. It's a classic. Ricky. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Yoni's here. Hello, hello. And you should. It's a great movie. Ricky can do that exactly. The Kronk impersonation of the... Oh yeah, it's all coming together. I really do not have the vocal range for that. No, the chances are higher today for the heights, but the payout's horrible. The chances are higher than they've been in a long time. I think they're 50%. All right. A couple of things I forgot about is I did not remove the fat from her forehead. Like right here. There we go. There we go. That line needs to continue upwards. And then I don't know. There's like really faint lines that would show up probably. All right, we're off to a good start here. Oh, that's kind of beautiful. Yeah, I would like to punch in her eyes a touch more, I think. Just taking my standard brush, holding down Option, and just really carving out where that orbital socket is. Like if you take your fingers, again, I've done this before on stream, do not poke your eyes out. Gently, peasants. You like push at like the corner of your eye. You can feel right under your eyeball where it starts to tuck in. Like that is your skull. That congratulations, you found your orbital socket. So that's what I'm trying to do here is really sink this in as much as possible. And then Taylor says, maybe have a gap between the sleeves and the torso, revealing her armpits. Oh yeah, for sure. Yes, there'll be nothing right here anyhow. But I think you were saying more like this to see this area. We'll play with it for sure. Great suggestions, like always. All right, really trying to push that in there. All right, which means I can bring the brow up. Where is that? Okay, yeah, that's the top. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna use Dam Standard to really push that crease in there. And I'm clicking number 1 on my keyboard to repeat the stroke I just did. Got a little wavy, I don't want that. Don't be silly. Increase the intensity. Like you don't have to repeat your stroke. I kind of like to do a light stroke, and if I like it, use my keyboard, and that prevents me from having to adjust my Z intensity constantly. Though honestly, I kind of do that. I do that anyway still. Now she has like triple eyelids. What is going on here? That's a bit more accurate though to what I was going for. And her brows will sit just on top of that bone. Where's my gizmo? Her face is a touch wide. Let's tuck that in. Slowly getting more and more emaciated. And the reason why I'm doing that slowly is just because I want to be careful and be thoughtful with it. Not something I do with my characters very often. Usually it's the opposite. Usually I bulk them up. And then this will be kind of cool. There's kind of like almost like a bit of webbing. That's what this is going to look like right here. Ah, that's pretty cool. It's happening. Abel says, this summer fashion for the undead. Every undead evening wear. I love it looking like a fashion show. Absolutely. I'm kind of flattening right above her ears too, to really kind of make her head look a bit taller and skinnier. Tall heads are in. Reaper says today is not my day. Oh, for heist. I mean, I'm saying it's literally your day. Well, I'd say we made quite a bit of progress. If you're just jumping in, or if you haven't looked up in a while, we started with this very fleshy, living looking woman, and now we have this lovely thing. I'm actually really excited about this. That's gonna be cool. I do kind of want to separate this from the background a touch more. There we go. Now for her hair, which I've been really looking forward to. All right, so her hair is just kind of like plopped on here for right now. I know for sure I want it to be a touch darker. So let's go ahead and darken it a bit. Same with her eyebrows. Very good. She's gonna have 2 strands that are white, but those are details. We'll handle that later. This is definitely 2D hairstyle. That'd be a little trickier to translate into 3D, but I'm just thinking about silhouette. And the first thing is that her hair does not come back like this. So I'm looking at this drawing right here. So see this? It comes down. So we'll need to flip these bangs over essentially. And what I might do instead is grab bangs entirely and then just delete the fringe she has right now to kind of piece this together before I start really shaping it. Here we go. Bangs. I'm going to append. And this is why I love having like an asset library with all kinds of different like hair pieces, because I can really kind of stitch things together. We're actually going to keep her bangs just a lighter color in general right now to help me as I shape this together. I like these hair strands. I think they're cool. So I'm not going to delete them. I'm just going to temporarily hide them. Come on, go away. Sweet. We'll remove that fringe too, and let's work on the main volume of the hair. We're gonna subdivide once because it's looking a little spaghetti, and then inflate. All right. It is shaping time. So we want this to be fluffy. She doesn't have anything that sits in front of her. It's all behind her, which I like because I don't want to confuse the way that how thin her neck is, right? So we're gonna go ahead and grab all these hair strands that are sitting in front, and we're either going to just delete them or just split them off. Currently I'll just split them off. There we go. Now, fluff. I'm going to use my move brush, turn on symmetry, even though it's not a symmetrical piece, that doesn't matter, and start pulling this away. Quite excited about this. And then in a lot of the, like her references, her hair swoops to one side or the other. I'm not really gonna worry about that until she's posed, and then I'll complement the hairstyle to match. We're gonna kind of start to construct a hairline here, lower it to her ears a touch. Obviously not that low on her forehead. Give her some forehead. This is looking a little smushed and a little weird. Let me grab some individual strands here and kind of get some shaping done. That's better. I'm not really too pressed with the way it's kind of crisscrossing here. It's a bit odd because we're going to have these bangs covering up a lot of this area anyhow. That being said, I do want to look a little nicer. Just because something is going to be covered up, it doesn't mean you should completely ignore everything that's underneath it. It just means that you should spend your time wisely, if that makes sense. I never want to sound like, oh, this isn't visible, who cares? Who cares? It's like, no, 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 I care a lot. I care too much. And that's why I have to be stingy with where I spend my time. Where is going to have the most payoff. So I'm kind of like slowly stitching together a hairline up here. Bam. And I'm looking forward to having a few pieces kind of standing off. It's gonna look a bit ethereal. Abel says, Mia, did you make assets for one of those online miniature making companies? Yes, I was hired by Titan Craft and I worked there for the better part of a year. And I only quit because honestly, I was making more money working on my own personal projects, and even though I absolutely adored them, it just was not financially viable for me. Which is funny because most people can't do their own thing because it doesn't pay as well. But for me, my stable job wasn't paying me enough. And to be clear, they weren't stingy or anything. They were great. I'm just expensive. Does that really surprise any of you? All right, and now let's show the bangs and kind of figure out how this is gonna work. Maybe I don't want to use those. I feel like the style doesn't fit. I think I might actually use these and repurpose them. Empress says, reminds me of this. Oh, of course. Mother Gothel. That's from Tangled. I think this character is much less evil. But who knows? It's up to Reaper, really. I'm trying to separate these really quick, and then I'll just grab the side that looks better. Because right now I'm just constructing. I'm just figuring out how I want the hair to flow here and what exactly bangs I'm constructing. And I have this way too long. It's going to be a lot shorter than that. Oh, speaking of, I can actually get the white segments figured out right now. Here we go. Reaper says, she looks really motherly, which fits her character so much. Oh, good, good. It's true. Know your worth. Those are some fun references. I like. All right, this hair is just too dense. Don't like. We're gonna construct the bangs either from these pieces I already have, or we're gonna do completely from scratch. I'm going to do ZBrush with half, make this nice and simple, and then perhaps a few polish by features and inflate. There we go. I'm even going to cut off the ends here. There we go. And polish by feature again. I need these ends to taper. I can do that in two different ways. I can individually grab the poly groups and smooth them, or I can use a pinch brush. In this case, I'm just going to grab them independently, smooth, and just use my move brush. All right, so I have this piece here that we're going to slowly shape to be her bangs. Alrighty. It's coming together a little too floppy, but this isn't, what is it? Garnier commercial. It's okay. All right, this little strand is cool, but currently making the silhouette very confusing. Go away. Why are you acting like you have never topologied in your life? ZBrush by half. Stop being like that. Ooh, temporary timeout. Oh, I love it. What are you so mad about? Sometimes if the mesh gets a little too thin or too janky, ZBrusher won't even try. It just like timeout. Usually it means that there is a poly that's facing the wrong way or something like that. It's just a ZBrush tantrum. Don't worry about it. We're going to simplify this into one piece because having them multiple is becoming a pain. And honestly, this will just be easier. There we go. Ha ha ha, it's happening. All right, so her bangs terminate at the end of her nose, it looks like. So my strand of hair is way too long still. So we can just come up with our 3D gizmo and just crush. There we go. Again, just because it's a 2D art piece doesn't mean I can't translate it pretty closely into 3D. Reaper says, at least with this model, you'll have a super skinny woman for your asset library. Exactly. All the more reason to spend extra time and love on it. I'm using move and backface mask to really easily adjust the silhouette and volume here. It's a technique I use a lot. I highly recommend trying it out. Oh, she has a little bit of a bald patch. Nope. There you go. All right, we have one main piece of bang here. We're gonna just duplicate it and rotate to create the next one. I don't want to get too like anime looking here necessarily, so we'll find a happy medium if it's looking a little too silly. Because in one of the references, she's drinking out of a coffee cup and it's kind of like hanging in front of her face, but on the other one, it's a bit more windswept, which means we've got flexibility. Oh wow, it covered my whole screen. Not the worst thing. So yes, we have this reference here and then this one. So it's kind of falling straight down here. This is a bit more windswept. So I'm going to kind of go for more of this look, I think. And I can tell, but consistently in both of them, it is like two pieces. Again, this is like a 2D simplification. I can get a bit more complicated with it since I'm in 3D, but I like to stay as true to it as possible. I don't like that the white hair in mine isn't like, it's like coming straight out of her root, but in the reference, it's more tucked back, and I like that better. I mean, I could just change that with poly paint, I guess. Taylor says, Mia, would you ever draw an anime-styled character? I meant sculpt. I have, and yes. I haven't done it many times, but I have. I have more of like an anime blend look for a lot of my Spicy Arts characters. Hey, Paint. I've been popping in and out. Hope you're all doing well. We are. Thank you for checking in. All right, I'm going to rotate this because I don't like that's covering so much of her face. Before I was kind of playing with that, but I'm like, no, we're going to just rotate it. Looking more like that. And I can construct some semblance of a hairline. She should have one of those, I think. All right, using move and back face mask to add a lot of volume here. And more of a taper. There we go. That's looking really good from a distance too. Excellent. These white pieces do tuck in front of her ear, and I do like that. We can still do that. Again, I don't want her to look like she's bald. I just... There we go. That's better. I mentioned it earlier, and it might sound like an oversimplification, but it's so true. Like, art is kind of just a big game of spot the difference. Especially when you're working closely from a reference like this. Oh, I love having these stripes come down too. Oh, that looks fantastic. Cool. Reaper says, Mia, could try putting on the bangs on the other side, see if that works better. Oh, I do love me a good old mirror. I think they look good on both sides. I think it looks a little better on the other side, though. Let's just put it on there for a little bit and see how we like it. If we do it on this side, though, again, I want to have these tucking in and out the way that they should, and no bald. Let's go ahead and split this into a different piece, and then we're going to grab one more hair strand here. To duplicate this really quickly, I simply have masked a section, hold down Command, and click and drag on your 3D gizmo, and then bam. You got a nice little piece of your mesh duplicated. This only works with polygroups. So you don't have any polygroups. Well, otherwise I'll just duplicate your entire subtool. So just keep that in mind. If you want to mask or duplicate just a small section, make sure you have polygroup masked. Taylor says, Mia, what if when her dress reaches the floor, it tapers out into an enormous saucer, like disc shape? I was kind of already thinking that would be a great idea. just like a ton of fabric gathered up by her feet. I can kind of inflate that to just kind of remind myself of that for when we get there. Something more like that. Here's the overhead view. This is kind of like the before and the after. I definitely like it spilled out a bit more. Scoot that like that. Very cool. I feel like this light isn't doing anything. Oh no, it is. It is. Ooh, spooky. I kind of love that. Oh, Reaper, what kind of base do you want? We haven't really talked about that yet. This has been fun. It's about time to start getting some detailing in. Gosh, she's beautiful. I don't really care. I don't like the belt buckle here. I kind of just want it to be fabric only. So let's go ahead and just delete that. There we go. Something more like that. Ooh, there we go. I just want nice and smooth for right now. I can go back and add details to this later, but I really want this to be like a fabric knot. I can use Move Topological to kind of scoot this mesh over. Come on. There you go. Hey, Klutz here. Hey, it's been a bit. I love the classic undead lady vibe. Isn't that awesome? This is Reaper's character. Probably some kind of tiled floor as she's meeting the other gods in a palace. Okay, I have a really pretty base that I've already created that might suit her. It's kind of like, it's like some floral signets on it and that kind of thing. Castle, fancy floor. There we go. We definitely don't need the money box, coin box on it. And then the color scheme is a bit wrong. So let's go ahead and adjust that. Nope. There it is. I was like, where did the floor go? I found it. More of a flat tile here. And then that got a little low poly on the edges. It looked kind of cool if it was a little worn. There we go. Oh, that'd be so pretty. I love that reference to you, Taylor. I'm gonna go with just like white roses right now. We can change it later. Like a dark stone and then maybe like a pitch black base just to like really separate the model for right now. There we go. I like it. I always like having a base on the model sooner than later to kind of literally place them into a scene. Something simple for right now. All right, I'm gonna start playing with fabric simulation. I don't do this often. I usually sculpt fabric by hand. And a quick demo of what that looks like. I pretty much just subdivide a bunch of times and then use my standard brush and I can really quickly strike in some pipe folds like this. This is a technique that I've used a lot over the years. And so I can do it really quickly like that. Neat, right? Which is great, but I do want to practice more of simulations. So please be patient while I figure out what I'm doing. All right, so when you're using simulations, there's a couple things that are really important. One, hide anything that you don't want it to collide with. So I don't want this belt to be an issue at all. Same with the top. We're gonna simulate just the skirt for right now. Next thing is it's not going to work if you have thickness on your mesh. Do you see how it doesn't exist on the inside? See? No mesh. Mesh? No mesh. Like, I'm very serious about this. If you go into dynamics and add thickness here, this is perfect because it doesn't actually exist. It is just a simulation. It's just a simulation. But seriously, don't close holes and try to simulate. You're going to break your mesh. You're going to break the whole program. So now that you have fake thickness, we don't do real thickness around here. Now you can go to dynamics and start playing with your collision modifiers and that kind of stuff. I have dynamics pinned right here. Let me scoot over so my face isn't in the way. So I have it right here, but it's also at the top right here. This is the exact same thing as this. I just moved it over. The first thing that we're going to do now that we have simulated thickness is we're going to click on collision volume. It's funny that this button is kind of low in the menu because if this button isn't highlighted, nothing's going to happen. This is the only reason why it works. Oh, Sneakers Club is here. Hello, hello. How's it going here? Pretty good. Welcome. I believe that you're new, so welcome in. It's going great. Yeah. We are simulating some fabric here, which I don't do very often. Alrighty. So now that I have collision volume enabled, I don't like inflate. I don't like that messes with my shapes. I want gravity turned on, but by default, a gravity of 10 is like really strong. So we're going to turn it to half. And then if I just simulate right now, it's going to fall off of her. See? That's not helpful. It is simulating, but not the way we want. What's really cool about dynamics is it respects your mask. So if I click on mask lasso or mask pen and hold down command, you can draw a little mask here and blur it, and it will respect that. So that means if I hit run simulation, it will act more slowly there. It has to be a bit of a heavier mask for it to actually work. Come on. Mask. There we go. And now I can play with like the firmness, the strength, all that kind of stuff. Sneakers said, yeah, I'm new. And in ZBrush as well. Oh, awesome. Well, you're in the right place. Yes, it's fake thickness here. Sneaker says, I kind of find it easy. We know art fundamentals from drawing. That definitely helps. I am pitiful with a pencil. I'm getting much better, but 3D, interesting, I'm much, much better at. It is a little cursed. All right, so there is the floor. If you hold down Shift and P, you'll see where the floor is actually located. It's a little lower than I expected it was going to be for her, which is annoying. I need to create a new plane for it to interact with possibly, but that's okay. All right, we're gonna let it be really long and not worry about it. I can also turn her, put her shirt back on because it's not going to interact with a new volume unless I click on recalculate. So her shirt's back. What's really cool about this though is I don't usually end up using run simulation very often because it kind of just does what it wants, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So what I usually do is I can switch over to the transpose cloth line. So it looks like the 3D gizmo, but it is not the 3D gizmo. It is the 3D gizmo now with cloth simulations built into it. How cool is that? So you can tell it's really wrinkly. I want a softer looking fabric, more gauzy. So I'm going to turn the firmness down to 1, and that should help. I'm also going to reduce the thickness of the material a touch. And I can continue to kind of play with the shape here. So now when I simulate this, you'll notice it's looking a bit thinner, the fabric folds. It is sensitive to speed, I've noticed. So for example, if you like just do this really quickly, it won't get you as nice of results if you actually take your time and let it happen and simulate slowly. That looks like a snuggie. My favorite thing about this though is that your brushes will interact with your simulation, which means click on B for brush palette and check this out. Anything with cloth in front of it will correctly interact with your cloth simulations, the settings that you picked. So that's why I have a lot of these right here, like cloth fold, cloth hook, docked onto my UI. So let's grab, oh, cloth wind is super cool. I like using this for capes. And bam, wind. How cool is that? It already looks like a cape. But we're not doing that right now. Let's do cloth nudge and just push stuff around and see if I can get something that I like. Again, I'm not worried about small clipping. So if you're playing with this and you're like, oh no, like her thigh is showing, it's broken, don't worry about it. You're just trying to find shapes that you like within the cloth itself. What I'm trying to say is like you're gonna have to go through and resculpt some of these details anyway, so don't worry about it. Honestly, as of right now, like I'm not seeing anything that I wouldn't like more of just sculpting it by hand. But it's cool. It's something. And I won't get better at it unless I try or practice with it, you know? Sometimes it's nice to simulate the base a little bit and then come through and sculpt it by hand. So I can just do like smooth and then kind of fix what I had before. Let's actually just undo. There we go. There we go. And we're back. So what I really want this for, I think, is the base of it, to get kind of like these undulating layers of fabric. Because I don't know how to sculpt that. There's no point in sitting here and trying to get this to make nice pipe folds. I can do that. Bam, pipe folds. We want simulations to get that bit of randomness that I'm not as good at because I'm not a computer. So instead, maybe let's actually just play with the bottom edge here. We'll mask this and let's see if I can figure this out. I have transpose cloth enabled. Yeah, like that's cool. I mean, it looks kind of like pipe folds, which I know how to do. But even if I use this and then build them up from here, it will still give me a better result than if I just did it myself by hand. Or I guess a faster result is better said. What if I do contract? Ooh, contract would be cool to do around her bodice to really show off all of the, not musculature, but skeleture. I don't have all of that sculpted in here quite yet though. So right now I have contract and deflate, so I'm just kind of playing with how all this works. Currently, I just like my own way of sculpting it better still, but this is something. Even if you've been using ZBrush for a long time, I really encourage you to do kind of like what I'm doing here, which is like just play with the tools you already have and make sure you come back and revisit it from time to time. Because I guarantee you will find stuff that's new. And then even if you didn't know how to use it properly at the time, maybe that's something that fits into your workflow now. Yeah, I could just sculpt that by hand. All right, this was fun. Simulations are fun. I'm bored of it. I don't like the results. We're doing it by hand. Goodbye, collision volume. You tried. Skeletal musculature. Ah, that does make sense. More than skeletal. Okay, that's fair. All right, so what I'm going to do here is turn on dynamics and add a nice thick border around the edge of it, and that's just for 3D printing reasons. And now, let's do some fun fabric folds. I'm increasing the resolution by Command D, and I'm looking at my reference to kind of see how this is going to fall. I don't have a super interesting silhouette here, but I really just want to sculpt some fabric folds, so that's what we're going to do. I have standard and then lazy mouse enabled to kind of just make my strokes a bit more consistent. Increase the resolution one more time. And then I'm going to make the brush size smaller, and that will help dictate what kind of fabric this is going to read as. The thicker the fold, the chunkier the fabric looks, and I don't imagine this is some heavy woolen dress by any means. Let's make an interesting border on the edge of the dress first, kind of like how I do ruffles. That kind of gave me something to play with here. I don't like that it's tucked under, so I'm going to try to fix that. See how it's not like flared out? I want it to flare out. So I'll just come in with my move brush and make that happen. There we go. There we go. That'll give me somewhere for these pipe folds to go and bunch up on each other. Excellent. And now that I have that, we'll subdivide a few times and it's pipe fold time. There's two different ways that you can do this. The really quick and easy way is just to grab your sander brush, have the intensity somewhat high, have it at 50, and just click and drag. It's really that simple. You can be complicated fabric folds, or you can be like, I just want something that's gonna look nice and fast. And there you go. Just kind of pay attention to where it's gonna bunch up and then how they kind of blend together at the top. I recommend using your smooth brush, but very quickly you can get some nice shapes in here. Another way you can do it, and this is a more advanced technique that takes longer, but it does give you a better result, as it tends to when it takes longer. What you want to do is grab your mask lasso brush and turn off perspective. Go ahead and just draw like a triangle shape like that. You're going to need to flip to the back and undo the mask that kind of tore through the back of it. And now that you have this, you're going to use your transpose line. So click on W to bring up your gizmo, Y to toggle it to the transpose line if you haven't already. Click and drag along that mask you made and invert it. We're almost done. Click on letter R for rotate, and then see this little center circle here? You got three, top and bottom, go to the center, and there's a center one even within that. Lord, I know it's a lot of steps, bear with me. It's cool. Click and drag, and oh look, you got a pipe fold happening. It's not gonna look super clean right away. It's gonna need some love and care. But you're gonna get a really clean result here that you can do a lot of cool stuff with, truly. This is how you can really start getting that overlapping effect. And when you do this enough times, you're gonna end up with a better result than what I just showed you at the beginning, which is where I just used sander brush and kind of like struck in a bunch of shapes. See what a nice like shape you're starting to get there? Again, in short, all I did was mask a section and then rotate using transpose line. Hey, Anzir, hello, hello. I need to get back to you with quotes on printed prices. I have not forgotten about you. It is so unlike me to tell you I'll answer on Monday and not. But it doesn't affect it. I'm sorry I haven't already. I will get back to you. We are printing them right now. We did a couple bigger sizes. We just haven't figured out consistent pricing yet, because I would hate to give you a quote and then end up finalizing the price something lower later. So we have not forgotten about you. Also, it goes great. Yeah, isn't that pretty? It takes a little bit more love and care again, but it's super worth it. And that's how you can really get an interesting shape on the bottom here. That will kind of like undulate and flow naturally. I wonder if I can do this without thickness. My concern is that when I close holes, it's going to make a big topology mess, but it would be easier to control this without any thickness. Thinking, I could even try to just bridge a gap later. I'm thinking. And yes, Aloha wants Pookie Bear still. Pookie Bear is our biomechanical lich. We do have him printed already with you in mind even. Goodness, I know it's like money just sitting on the table. Lots of cool things happening around here. I have not forgotten about you guys, I promise. All right, I'm gonna undo a touch here to where I didn't have thickness. Nah, I'm just being picky. There's nothing wrong with what I have right here. Let's just do it with a little more intention. So I'm gonna subdivide and then mask these shapes. Okay. I think a lot of this I'm going to do by, well, I mean, this is still by hand, but I think I'm only going to do this technique for one fabric fold so it stands out. It's like the primary fabric fold, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to build around it. And if you're hanging out and you're like, wow, I want to learn this and this is confusing, you got two different things. One, just watch a lot of my streams, absorb through osmosis and listening. Or two, join my mentorship program. I literally will teach you one-on-one. It's $1 a day, so it's $30 a month. And straight up, I give you assignments in bite-sized pieces based on your skill level. Most of my students were brand new beginners. They couldn't even draw a stick figure. So you literally cannot be unskilled enough to not be in my program. Also, speaking to my current students, thank you for supporting my art. It's a joy having you guys in my program. And happy hour is coming up in about 45 minutes, which remember, happy hour is for students. So get all your questions, all your notes, and assignments to turn in, and we'll be reviewing those shortly. Can someone redeem the hydrate notification? Oh, yeah, I don't think it's even in the store right now. I'm still reworking the whole pulling store, and for you guys to have lots of fun things to purchase. Aiden says, it's all good. I appreciate you guys and what you're doing. I anxiously wait in excitement with all the autistic patients I have. Sounds good. And thank you, Sater, for linking that. So in the chat right now, if you're interested in mentorship, there's a link. Click on it. There you go. It's free to look. That could be terrible out of context. Oh my God. I'm never saying that again on stream. Okay. This is what happens when I try to do the business thing, guys. Anyway, this is a really nice fabric fold. Quite happy with this. And we're going to smooth away the sides and the gap right here. Lowering the resolution will allow me to make bigger adjustments without it getting all lumpy. I really want to carve in this gap right here. And Paint says the classes are great. Thank you. Yeah, Paint's in my mentorship. So is Aloha, so is Empress, so is Yoni. A lot of people in the chat are in my program right now. So if you're looking and have questions, there you go. I mean, you could also ask me. And if you're like, I have no interest in learning how to 3D sculpt, you do that for me. I have a Patreon for that too. This is like my full-time job or something. Sater says, Mia, too late. Aloha's already clipped it and uploaded it. Cancel incoming. It was bound to happen at some point. Hey, Grimnir. Me too. Also, yeah, lurking at the moment. Beautiful. Thank you, Aloha. These are my mods, by the way, that are roasting me aggressively. Thank you, guys. It says, if it wasn't for being so tired, I'd be doing a lot more modeling, reinforcing the basics right now. Hey, that's totally fine. I literally took I took a day off yesterday, but in the last week, I've not streamed like 3 days or took a short day, which is odd because just before that I had a 19-day live stream streak. So it happens. Don't be hard on yourself. Empress says, the classes are wonderful. As a new student, I've been punished. Very happy with my progress. Yeah. I've bullied Empress a little bit. Empress is one of my perfectionist students, so it's especially painful for them. It's just part of it. Currently, they're on an assignment called Create Bad, and they've been stuck on it for days. It's quite funny. I mean, enjoying it. Aloha says, where is Mini Blaze? It's too quiet and peaceful in here. It is quiet. Where is like the peasant rebellion? Sato says, well, now we know something about Empress. Careful. So right now I'm just cleaning up this fabric fold right here that I've kind of deemed as my principal fabric fold. And I'm going to kind of base this skirt design around it. Stupid gnat. I don't like where that damn center line fell, so instead of trying to rework it, I'll just undo it. That happens a lot where if you're sculpting and you find yourself trying to rework something, just undo to where it didn't exist anymore. You'll spend more time trying to undo a fold than just embrace what you got. That could be a really, really deep advice depending how you take it. All right, we are going to mask the bottom of this and then make some interesting shapes on top. There we go. Ah, yes, there's my uprising. Very good. Aiden, wait, we have the option to rebel? You always have the option to rebel. Also, I want to note that we've been above 20 viewers for pretty much the entire stream. That's really awesome. That's very high for my channel, and I just really appreciate you guys being here. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday, and I'm honored that you're spending it with me, even if just for a bit. I'm all sweet to you guys while there's like a full like little emoji rebellion happening. Is what it is. All right, let's get some more fabric folds. I can use move and backface mask to really pull some of these shapes further. I use that technique a lot. So move and backface mask essentially will just preserve like one side of your silhouette, but if you click and drag around too much, it will like ruin your topology, so be careful with it. But it is a really cool tool. And then I'm loosely referencing what Taylor put in the chat here. Without getting too wedding dressy. See, like, I wasn't able to simulate something like this. Like, it was fine what I came up with, but meh. Wasn't getting this kind of drapery. I'm not going to give up, though. I think if I keep playing with dynamics, I'll get some really cool results. I just haven't figured it out yet. I know there's some sort of combination of dynamics and hand sculpting that's going to be like the best result. Aiden says, I may or may not have been shilling your work on my blue sky among my friends. Good peasant. On like a real note, yeah, no, business has been great. Ricky and I have been looking at buying a house more and more, like seriously, in the last few months, which is great because even just like 2 years ago, it felt like a pipe dream. The dress is dressing. I want to make like an interesting edge here. I think it'd be easier if I just like make it as like a separate ruffle and then Dynamesh and blend the seam rather than trying to sculpt it as all one piece. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. Oh, fun little bit of unasked for advice. Don't trust anybody that don't learn from anybody that doesn't say I don't know comfortably. That's a red flag. Your teacher or whoever you choose like for mentorship or just in general, they think they know everything. That's a red flag. I don't know is like one of my most common phrases on the stream. And because I don't learn, I feel like I can get a cool result using simulation on this. So we're gonna try. I'm gonna turn on collision volume. I have dynamics already turned on. I love that you guys are teaching Aiden how to duel. Beautiful. Alrighty, so we're gonna mask the top of this so it doesn't just rip right through her arms because that is not helpful and cursed. So we'll just do a little mask like this and then run simulation and kind of see what happens. Again, I find the gravity just too strong and stuff. So, where is the body? There we go. Oh, if you guys are just joining and you're like, what the heck is this here? That's where we started the stream. So this is what we've accomplished in the last hour or so. All right, using, ooh, cloth twister. I never use that. Ooh, that could be really cool to use very gently. See, that kind of stuff. Okay, this is what I'm not great at. See how this is like, this like Y fold? Have you guys ever heard of that? Like sculpting fabric? It's like, oh, it's simple as X, Y, Z. Like those are like the shapes that you'll see commonly in fabric folds. I'm not as good at those, but I'm good at pipe folds. So for anything that is not this flowing dress section, I already know dynamics is better than I am. There we go. So we can fold right here, kind of by the arm. Yeah, that's cool. And then what happens if I click and drag? Ooh, that's cool. Ooh, I like this little like crinkly bit at the end. Okay, all of the shit I talked about dynamics, just kidding. Just kidding. This is awesome. And one of the reasons why I'm obsessed with dynamics right now is because with Aloha's request, the Fall of Aloha was like this huge project that like pushed me to learn all this new stuff. And I thought it'd be cool if like a request from another mod, Reaper, kind of encouraged me to do the same thing. So that's the thought process anyway. Yoni is saying random pink pixels. Yeah, it's just the house pixies. Don't worry about it. On a real note, I have no idea what's wrong with your stream. I don't think anyone else is saying it. Just in the live chat box. Oh yeah, that's just you, honey. No idea. You're the chosen one. I mean, I pay extra for those pink pixels. Thank you. Pink is my favorite color, so that is a happy accident. There we go. This is so cool, this shape right here with the sleeves. And so from here, I can then build up a lot of these forms using my standard brush. But trying to iterate this randomness, I guess, I mean, it's not totally random. It's interacting with the volume. I mean, it's still physics-based. I'm not great at. And using a combination of these two techniques is really cool. It looks kind of cloud-like almost. Yeah, that's really cool. I like it. Sager says, "Are you taunting me, Mia?" Lovingly, obviously. Totally a joke. Please continue renovating your house and whatnot. Family first through 100. Speaking of, the renovations you've been doing look fantastic. And that really is home ownership. It's just fixing one thing to another. And honestly, I am so excited for that. But if I'm not streaming, I'm outside. Literally, that if I don't respond to like Discord comments, it's because I'm not inside. I recently Ricky got me a fancy watch to help curtail that, because I never have my phone on me either. I am chronically unreachable. I'm just somewhere outside. And he's like, that can't happen. Okay, it says, for as much as we shit on ZBrush, they do have nice tools. Yes, and just to be clear, we shit on Maxon. We love ZBrush. ZBrush is our baby. Kind of playing with the lighting a touch here. Ooh, too much. It's very sensitive. I just want it to be a little more severe. Ooh, I want to try that. I want to try the constrict with dynamics. All right, so dynamic, collision volume. I need to get rid of the skirt for this temporarily and the belt because I don't want it to simulate to that. Wow, her legs are really muscly compared to the rest of her. That's okay. All right, now we have this. Click on collision volume, recalculate, recalculating, and then contract. Run simulation. Wow, we have gravity turned on. Turn off gravity. There we go. Wow, it's not doing a great job. Why are you like this? And why do we have half a body on the left? Come back. There you go. I know I can make this work well. I'm going to figure it out. What if instead of using it from here, I use the gizmo and instead I wiggle. I just grab this and wiggle. Nope, didn't do anything. What if it was the right gizmo? It's still nothing. Okay. Why aren't you working? Oh, there we go. Okay, it's kind of working. What if I de-inflate? No. Is it not high resolution enough? What's your problem? Why are you giving me nothing? Like, I can tell it's like wanting to interact, but it's not making these like yummy little fabric folds that I want. What if I crush you downwards? Nope, nothing. Okay. I'm gonna figure it out. What if we relax a little bit? Instead of contract, what if it's deflate? Ooh, there we go. Check that out. Contract, useless. Deflate, superior. Heck yeah. That's cool. See, that did a better job than I probably would have. That would take me a lot longer to sculpt from scratch, and now I can improve upon that quickly. Also, it sounds like I'm harping a lot about still trying to do stuff by hand. I don't care. If I can find a tool that will do it for me, I got no problem with that. I don't want to ever sound like some like art purist of like, you must do everything by hand and tedious. We are so not about that here. I say all the time where I'm like, time is money, honey. Like, no. If you can find a way to do it faster, do it. Do it. I really am taking my time with this model, so we have a lot of work left to do, but it's looking pretty high quality. And having the simulated fabric, I think, is very obviously an improvement compared to my normal. I so agree, Empress. Go girl, give us nothing, right? What was it? Constrict? Contract. Contract is useless. Aiden says, is ZBrush the only program you teach with? Or do you teach others as well? Also, is ZBrush free? Oh, God. ZBrush is so not free. ZBrush is so expensive. I mean, if you are savvy and an internet scavenger, you can probably find something for free. But no, legally, it is not free. And I don't teach other softwares, but you totally can apply the concepts to other softwares, but I would not feel comfortable taking your money if you didn't already know how to use Blender, for example. If you're already using Blender and you want like a sculpt mentor, I'd be happy to help you. But I would not take your money to say I could teach you Blender because I don't have like dedicated classes and videos to like show you step by step. Yes, ZBrush can be a lovely free program. Yes. If you have, a .edu email, did I get it? Ha! Awesome. I grabbed it. Anyways, there's a gnat. Anyway, I hate bugs. Sater says her arms are still pretty thick too. That's true. We are going to be removing some like small volumes with the sander brush by coming through here and making these like delicious little divots like that. But we are not going to crush them much farther down. Otherwise, it is not going to print. It's going to be a nightmare. Also, they only get so skinny. It's going to look like that. Closer to. So it's going to look a lot thinner, but the actual volume silhouette is still going to be pretty similar to where it is now. Can I bump up ambient inclusion? Yes, more. Well, we're early on in some aspects, but very far along in others. I think she's looking beautiful. I really do. In the original concept art, she has, or not concept art, like the original art, Lord, reference for me, it's purple and red. So what if I introduce some of these like deep, rich reds in here? I think that would be nice. Oh yeah, because it's lacking a little bit of contrast right now, and I'd like to incorporate that. Sneaker says, do you have some videos or other stuff to learn sculpt, kind of like Pixar or DreamWorks? Oh, like more of like an animated look? I don't have like specific lessons for that per se, but I could teach you how to do that, absolutely. I have a few on my channel. I have one where it's like a cat with a bunch of ducklings in a basket, and that's free. Reaper said, don't forget I'm retopoing her. Oh yeah, that's not gonna, oh, the fabric folds. Yeah, I can always export I plan to pretty much just give you this version too, something nice and low res so it's not a complete nightmare. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna just send you a bunch of stuff. These fabric folds are a little advanced though. I like this belt better. But yes, I will not pose this and then send it to you pose. That would be quite sad and impossible to retopo. Not that you haven't done it before, which is quite impressive. Adding a little bit more poly paint here because it makes me happy. And we are just about ready for happy hour. So speaking of students, go get your questions, go get your assignments if needed. If not, just hang out and enjoy the vibes. Also her legs. Oh, yes. What do you mean? What's wrong with her legs? Is this not how you originally intended her? Yeah, no, I'm gonna spend a lot of time on the body here because I do think it'd be nice to have like an emaciated base. Yeah, there's gonna be, I don't even know how to unbutt her. Guys, I only add butt. I never take away butt. This is gonna be, I need references, and that will not be able to be on stream for obvious reasons. Anyway, she's looking incredible. Aloha says, I vote we add a ton of interlinking chain-like filigree elements for Reaper to retopo. I agree, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually grabbed some of my Pinterest just for that. Check this out. I have a couple of tutorials here that are filigree, step by step. What do you think, Reaper? You want some of that? It would be so detailed, so lovely, and we'd all learn so much from it. I think this is what Reaper wants to do on their weekend. Yeah. Jokes. We love Reaper. We will not do that to her. Slater says to me, I leave the leg. She's got them Chun-Li kicks. Absolutely. Empress says, Reaper welcomes the challenge. Reaper, no, I don't. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, she did not skip leg day. But on a totally serious note, Reaper, if I drop this down a ton like this, it's pretty much already retopoed and you can have a lot of fun with this. I can give you, do you want it as a single shell? Because if you want, I can go through and make it so there's not like two-sided polys. It's more like a game asset. Oh my gosh, she is looking incredible though. Awesome. I'm really happy with the bit that I learned here about simulating fabric. So that was nice. And I actually learned like applications for it doesn't apply as well. Sater says, you literally do not retopo filigree. You normal map that shit. That's true. That is true. I feel like she would still do it though. Not happily. Yeah, they're nice quads. They would not animate well. They would not. That's why it's like when you're doing stuff like for animation, this is a example. Instead of putting like, if we put flat quads all over the face, that would be one thing, but it wouldn't animate well because it's not how our face like deforms, right? So that's why, notice how there's like a bunch of like loops around like her eyes and her mouth because, well, that's how they move. Like I blink up and down. So that's like, that's where that's going to squish, that you want the topology to enable you to do that more easily. And having even quads everywhere doesn't necessarily lead to that nicely. Reaper says single, I guess. It is meant for animation, ideally. Okay. Empress says, okay, for real, my energy for the morning is 0%. It is nap time. Yes, sleep well. Thank you for hanging out. All right, let's get a fun render on this. And then Reaper, I'll be sending this to you within 2 weeks. That's kind of like my general rule of thumb for priority tickets. Beautiful. Let's see if I like the other one better. Preview AO. I wanted it dark and spooky. It's not dark or spooky. I feel like my render looks better. Oh, where did my ambient occlusion go? Ugh. There we go. When did I screw up my own lighting? I don't remember doing that, but I definitely did. All right, we are going to just do a fun little splay here. Oh, I have a lot of work to do on that face still. Okay. We're off to a cool start though. I kind of want to lighten up her eyebrows a little bit. Just a little bit of a softer expression. Not like a full smile, just like a little softer. Cool. Well, for a days of work, a couple hours, I'm very, very happy with this. She's pretty cool. It helps. I had wonderful art to work from. Yeah, cool. All right, we're gonna take a screenshot of this. Smile. Alrighty. All right, that means that we're moving on to happy hour. I'm going to return at 3. Yes, it is currently 2:40 p.m. I might be back a little bit early, just letting you guys know. So that's 3 p.m. my time. Wherever you are, I'm returning at the beginning of the next hour. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you are just tuning in, kick back. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm sculpting, everything is for 3D printing. What else? I think that's it. If you're one of my students, again, get your questions ready. If not, kick back and relax for happy hour. We are sculpting a brand new tabard pet. All right, I'll see you guys shortly. Hello and welcome back. I was answering a question from Clute. They said, how do you get the size of the brush to scale with the mesh? If I scale a model so that's the size I want it to 3D print, the brush ends up being so tiny that I can't even use it. A couple things. One, I just don't scale until the very, very end. And then two, there's a tiny, tiny word right here, dynamic. It actually works. It's a clickable button. See how finicky it is? How much it doesn't want to work? But anyway, so this is what dynamic turned off. This is a brush size of 17. And if I enable dynamic, it jumps to 802. But then you can kind of scale this to however you want. So that is the answer. I think the best answer though is just changing your workflow a little bit to where you don't scale until the last step. Very good question. Alrighty, well, it is officially happy hour, so if I have any other students that have questions about 3D printing, 3D modeling, really anything to do with art, now is the time to ask. Michael says perfection. Good. You are welcome. I'm glad that helped. Alright, it is happy hour, and we have a Taver pet that is being queued up in the funding. Excellent. Oh, that's right. And then we did the owl. Did I not save it? Whispers. Afraid. That's okay. I can always find it. Horned owl, Z-spheres. Goodness. I rely on quick saves a little too much. It's dangerous. I did not save the owl. But it's okay, because it's right here. We're going to go ahead and save this. Goodness Mia. Under Taver Pets. I think I have under miscellaneous. Yes. There we go. Perfect. All right. Such a cute little dude. So what we're working on today is a Mad Mage. If you are interested in getting your own little Taver pet, these are all 3D printable. I haven't started sharing the files quite yet, but they will be part of a large project later on. That being said, if you are the requester and you requested any of these and you want the STLs now, just DM me and I'll send them to you right now. No sense in having you donate and then having to wait. Alrighty. I haven't had it open during the stream because we've been very focused today, but bam. The donation pool is open. It can be 30 people donating $1 or one person donating $30. Either way totally works, but that's how we unlock Taver pets. And that's why we have one queued up. And it's going to be this adorable little mage. So let's kind of start getting some concepts for that. The rule of thumb with chibis is to have them pretty much like 2 heads tall. And then I try to keep the shape language really simple and really consistent between all of them. That being said, I really haven't drafted any ideas for this mage. This is for Alexander, and they pretty much just asked for a mad mage. That was it, which gives me a lot of really cool flexibility. So let's go ahead and find some cute little mages that are chibi. So let's type in chibi mage and see if I can find anything that I like to reference. Always, always, always work with references. I love this so much. This is more so what I'm thinking of though. I think it'd be nice if the hat was like really low. And then this is way too detailed for the kind of chibis that I'll be doing. See, Merc says, still going, you animal. I know, 3 hours. My goal eventually is to stream every day for 5, and I've gotten pretty consistent at doing 3 no problem, so I'm on my way. Now, between you guys coming back and watching streams and donating and just all that good stuff, YouTube is slowly becoming like a legit income source for me, which is awesome. So I'm happy to stream longer and more consistently. I guess you guys are fun. All right, let's do this chibi made mad and see if I get anything that's related. I do think it'd be cute if he looked a little more worn and spooky. Again, this is still a little too tall. This is like 3 heads tall, so it gets more room for more detail. We're gonna squash it down even more than that. Think super simple, super chibi. More like this. I only grabbed 2 references, but I think that's all I need, honestly. It's pretty much going to be a giant wizard hat with legs by the time that I'm done with it. So let me get my references put up here and we'll get sculpting. And then a reminder again, this is a time dedicated for my students. If you guys have questions or assignments for me to review, do not be shy. I can pivot, no problem. But by default, we're working on Taver pets. All right, it's getting serious. I love how I'm running out of room because I want to show off all my little Taver pets. I'm getting pretty fast at these too. All right, well, I'm going to jump over to Carl because that's the only other human that I have. I'm going to hit copy tool and paste tool. So now this is an identical copy. I do not need his weapons or his shoulder pads or his face, really. We're going to replace this with a sphere. Append sphere. And the reason why I'm iterating from a current concept is because I want things to be as stylistically similar as possible. Oh, and he does have his whole butt out. Most of the Taver pets have butts. I don't know if I'm going to do that for the mage. We'll see. All right, and then this will probably be more like human toned, like actually flesh toned. That makes the butt especially funny in my opinion. There we go. Amazing. They specifically requested that this mage would be angry, so this could be quite fitting. Why do you keep changing colors when I move away from you? I don't understand. Ah, there's 2 butts. That's why. There we go. Important reference in Reaper Project Tat. I somehow doubt that. Oh no, it actually is super relevant. Sorry. I can't help give Aloha a hard time because, hey, Aloha gives me a hard time too. It goes both ways. This is extremely relevant and pretty much exactly what we're going for. Perfect. I'm sorry, I doubted you. Rip. All right, I already have a wizard hat, but I don't want to literally sculpt nothing from scratch right now. So we are going to sculpt it from scratch again, just so I can show you guys how to do it. All right, I have a cylinder here. I'm going to ZBrush by half. Perfect. Make it a bit smaller, and it's going to be really low. Again, it's pretty much just going to be a hat with little legs. And then we don't need this weird color. Let's go with the same purple as Moo. Or Mini Moo. A garden gnome beard. That could be cute. I was originally thinking it'd be a girl. We'll see. No, Aloha sad face. You're a menace. You know it. You know it's true. I also think it could be fun if the hat was like outrageously tall. But we'll see. Alright, I'm going to ZBrush with half. Aloha got called unimportant. Oh god, that is what I said. That's not what I meant. I meant that you were a menace. But I did say that. My bad. Alright, deformation. And I'm going to use gravity to kind of just pull this shape down a touch for me. And then squish it. There we go. Do not touch anything when ZBrush has autosave. You have been warned. All right, then we're gonna adjust the shape of this hat here to kind of pull upwards a touch. We're gonna turn on symmetry, click on move, hold down option and click and drag. And that's gonna just pull this shape up. See? Watch out. We're gonna lower this as much as possible. Again, it's going to be a hat with legs. I really should put some clothes on this thing, shouldn't I? If this was the thing that got me demonetized, that would be great. I'm joking. There we go. Clothing. It's gonna make it impossible to add a butt for this one. That's okay. Unless it's just like pulling its little skirt up in the back. No, not that kind of model. All right, I'm going to taper. There we go, something kind of like this. Cute. And the beard is a really cute idea. I was planning on it being a little like a girl for some reason, but I do think the beard would read more clearly. So let's go ahead and pick kind of like a whitish gray, or I can pick that, learning from my lesson with Reaper, I can pick the same white from Moo, and that is my whitest white. Yes. All right, and then having the beard be gigantic would also be really cute, probably. Why would you not poly paint? You're being so silly. Fill object. Thank you. There we go. Let's go ahead and lower the face even further. And I think the eyes are not quite the right color for this model. I think the eyes would look better if they were green. There. Angry little wizard who's definitely going to need a little staff. We're going to tilt the hat down a touch and continue to shape this. Here we go. Oh my god, doing these tabard pets gives me life. They're so silly and easy. I think it has to be a Necro Wizard. I agree. I need to put like a little skull on the base. Speaking of, you guys have any suggestions, I'm always open to them. I know we haven't been doing that as much of late on streams because I've had such like high quality references, usually from the requester themselves. But don't forget, I'm always open to your guys' feedback. Put this on the other side. And then we'll have this one out to the side. And that means I'll probably have to push his hat over a touch, which, I mean, that would look cute if the hat was crooked anyway, and it will leave room for the staff. So we'll just kind of tilt it. Looking something like that. Hat. Ooh, yeah. I would like that. It might be pushing it as far as like how complicated I can get the shape language for a chibi, but we're gonna go as close as possible. I also think it'd fit the Necro Mage feel. There we go. Yeah, I'm totally able to do that without it getting too complicated. The topology is like absolutely kind of crap in the bed right now, but that's okay. We'll fix it manually with love and care later, but not right now. I kind of want to give him like this like weird shaped hat. Yeah, why not? That just looks more fun. I don't like how it shows so much of his weird little bald head. I need to give him hair. Or lower it even further. There we go, just showing one eyeball. One spooky eyeball. Ooh, what's this for? I like it though. Ooh, a skull on the staff. Yeah, this kind of shape of skull too. Oh, fantastic idea. Let's do it. I'm gonna click append a sphere. Same kind of white color. And I ended up kind of sculpting this exact same thing for the Nuclevi, or Nuclevi. We're gonna do Dynamesh, turn on symmetry, and then ZBrush at half to keep it nice and low and simple. Okay, that's not nearly low enough. Let's decimate to 1,000 points to force the issue and then ZBrush by half so we don't have to sit here all day remeshing. Perfect. We are going to have this shaped skull, which is pretty much just eye sockets. All right, push in these eye sockets and bring up those brows. So it's pretty much just eye sockets and cheekbones. Why does mine look like a toad? It needs teeth. Skulls are already kind of tricky, and I'm like, ooh, how do I boil this down to its simplest shapes? It's a good challenge. All right, this needs a fill object, because my goodness, is this not, I don't want to stay poly painted. Come on. There we go. I'm gonna hide everything and just show the skull so I can really kind of focus on these forms right now and get these teeth in here. To duplicate them, I'm simply gonna hold down Command, click and drag, and there you go. Let's rotate the whole thing, and they're kind of a bit pushed out. I don't like this. The teeth help a lot. Go ahead and run over to clay polish just to kind of get some flatter planes for me. And then the teeth, though adorable, are way too big. Rotate that forward, bring the cheekbones back, and then scoop out the head shape. All right, in order to make this look like a skull, these actually have to be pretty deep. Frog skull. It's true. Looks like a frog. Which I'm not mad about either, honestly. At first I was like, oh, I need to make it look like a human, and now I'm kind of like, I kind of like it. I like that it also looks angry. Alright, so the name of the game here is really just making sure these cavities are nice and deep. And then not forgetting that we are in fact working on a 3D model. Forbidden butt. Joking, joking, joking. I love this weird little goblin shape. It's nice and stylized, and I think that 4 teeth is just one too many. Put a little taper on the skull, making sure there's no subdiv. Perfect. Looks kind of rodent-y now. Oh my gosh. Really dark head canon, but this could be the mouse. We're going to make the staff shape a little more interesting because just a stick looks like he has impaled something instead of it being a staff, which is not what I want. So instead, I'm going to duplicate this and have it kind of twist or some sort of like interesting shape here that makes it not look just like it's impaled on a stick, you know? Though I don't hate that. He is a goofy boy. Taylor says, Mia, since this is for a staff, maybe the top of the skull with a multifaceted diamond, or diamonds stuffed inside of the eye sockets. That's fun. Let's do it. Or at least see what it looks like. How is there symmetry? Oh, I see. We do not want symmetry. No, thank you. I think that's fun. It'd be cool if it has the same color eyes as the necromancer himself. Reaper says, skull of the hat. I feel like I'm understanding what you're saying. I'm excited about it. But on the other hand, I don't understand what you mean at all. Skull hat. Skull hat. Like on like a detail like here. Because it would fit on the hat. It's kind of like a brooch almost. Like this. Skull hat. He needs big, goofy shoes, madame. He does. I hate shoes. I see what you're doing. Alright, I at least made them a darker color. We are going to ZBrush them at half because they don't need all the details that we had for lovely Carl. There we go. And let's just make them like really simple, kind of like little clown shoes. Because we're all about basic shapes here. Which means I need to scoot back his little robes a little, just a touch. Okay, that is cute. He can't get too complicated. He's kind of pushing it with the amount of elements he has. Okay. For the record, I can sculpt shoes. I just don't. Okay? Okay. Yeah, we can do curly-toed shoes, kind of like the same shape language that Taylor recommended for the hat. I'm just using a small mask and the gizmo to achieve that. Okay, they look a little broken. But it's fine. Wow, same brain cell, y'all. Love it. Look at you two. Look at you guys go. Look at these separate peasants being the same peasant. Oh God, that's really cute. I don't care for the second stick here. I don't think that the skull makes any sense right here. It does look better on the hat. The hat also needs a belt of some sort. Like, I'm just gonna go with my ZBrush, extrude, polyloop, click and drag. Come on, polyloop, function. Cool, bam. And then we got a little belt. Then we can make that a darker color for some contrast on this design. Neato. He's coming together pretty quick, isn't he? Very get off my lawn vibes. Look at this cutie patootie. Maybe make the shoes red. That would add a little more color variety, but I kind of like how simple the palette is as well. A whole lot of heresy. Oh, that's a cool idea. Man, we're really going nuts with this curve, aren't we? I like seeing this, you know, it's very consistent shape language. Do I have to manually pose that like a peasant, or can I use spiral? We're gonna pretend like that did not just destroy the topology. Let's see if I can put a healthy little inflate and fix it with ZBrush and same. Can't tell if I'm fixing it or breaking it. I do like that I ended up with a bit of a more gray muted color here. So in 2D, this is really common to avoid tangents, but it applies in 3D too. Like this just isn't very appealing where these touch. It's not the worst thing. I just want to make sure that it doesn't confuse the silhouette too much. Oh, Robin, I'm a big fan of your art. Thank you so much. And welcome in. I believe that you're new. I really love what I do, so I appreciate that. I'm also going to bevel the hat here. So I'll go to bevel, not bridge, bevel. And then go ahead and get a small bend on the edge of the hat here. There we go. So something that's a little confusing that you need to keep in mind. You would think, oh, so this line right here, right? I want to bevel that so there's a smoother edge. You would think, oh, I click and drag on that. No. You go to the loop next to it that's perpendicular and click on drag on that. I don't make the rules. I just follow them, just so you guys know. That confuses the heck out of a lot of my students. And honestly, me too. There you go. Because that looks a little nicer than we had before. I do like how simple that is. I'm going to undo it for now, just for shape clarity, and I'll go back later. All right, I need a creative solution to not show his weird little bald head, or is that fine? Well, either way, we are just at the end of happy hour here. Very happy with this little guy we got done in just 30 minutes. And then we're going to move on to last call, which is pretty much just the end of the stream. If you guys have any final questions, that is the time to ask. This turned out great. I might need to go through and simplify the skull even more because currently it's the most detailed thing on this character by a lot. But that's a-okay. I'm going to kick out the edge of the staff here just a touch so it's a little more clear from the silhouette. There we go. And also the whole thing could be a bit smaller, I think. There we go. Perfect. Ooh, a collar would be cute. I can do that really quick. Curve the straps more and finally give just Lingual his spooter. No. But I do like the idea of putting a little spider on it. This guy is already so asset heavy though. So to make the collar, all I'm gonna do here is flip over the skirt, or pretty much like his robes here. There we go. And then shape it like this. Bam. Especially with chibis, the more you can like reuse shape language and like literally by using the same shapes, the better. I love that he doesn't have a face, it's just a giant beard. Beautiful. All right, excellent. Well, we got another cute little dude done. I am having so much fun doing these little Tabber Pet series. Again, thank you guys, because you make them possible, quite literally. Yeah, good call, Clute. That was excellent. Robin says, I'm also a 3D character artist. Amazing. Can you please share tips and guidance? If I could share tips and guidance in 2 minutes, I would be a millionaire. What I'm trying to say is, your question is way too vague. It's kind of like walking in and being like, can you teach me calculus? And I'm like, okay, that is a subset of math. We're warmer here. But general tips and guidance is just so vague. I really couldn't give you anything other than make art every day and don't be too hard on yourself. Because if you burn out, then what's the point, right? That's about the best vague advice I could get. That's actually a really cool thing in my mentorship program. Like, half of it is just my students learning how to ask detailed questions, because that's 90% of the problem, is being able to narrow it down to like a single sentence. It's tricky, honestly. Oh, maybe curl the beard. Oh man, I keep trying to move on to last call because I'm out of time, but this is such a good idea. Yeah, we'll see if it doesn't get too noisy with the hat and the staff and the shoes. I think that the beard might need to be more like a goatee anyway. So let's just put a giant curl on it and kind of see where it gets us. Kind of gets this like yin yang thing happening here. I don't mind it. All right, let's lighten that up a touch. Okay, there's definitely something I can figure out with the beard to make it a bit more interesting. At the very least, having this little curl is good. Wow, what is going on with this topology? Just be one mesh. There you go. And we're set. It makes me want to do like a really detailed fun beard. This is just becoming a whole character. I see what's happening here. No, you were a chibi, you have limited features and color palette. Stay in your lane. Okay, we're gonna move on. It is last call. It's been another great stream. Thank you guys for bearing with me because I only took one day off. Right? No, I took a couple this last week. But anyway, I kind of find my flow again, get some deep rest in, and I appreciate you guys being super supportive and cool. It's nice to have a community like you guys. I mean, I don't know what your alternative is like to gather together and riot and demand more live streams. It wouldn't have changed anything, but the fact that you're cool about it is nice. I'm going to Z-mesh the shoes really quick here. There we go. And I'm going to save, because last time I did this, I totally forgot to save the owl. Perfect. Oh yeah, glitched out text will get you temporarily muted. It's just to prevent spam from bots. That's usually what it's from. English, please. Oh, curl the beard to the floor. I missed that last little bit. Shoe stream. No. Bad peasant. Okay, beard on the floor, not a bad idea. I kind of feel like it's a little too continuous with this line. Is that strong design or is that boring design? I don't know. Was that also a suggestion from Clute? It was. Man, Clute, you're on fire today. That's some great suggestions. Seriously. Thank you. Thank you. Sounds good, Sater. Thanks for being here. We're wrapping up right now anyhow. All right, I'm going to save again because that was just too good. All right, I think that's a wrap. This was a great stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I love what I do, and it always feels good when I get a lot done on stream too, and it was very productive. So we made this cute little dude. We also worked on a dragon head from scratch at the beginning, just to kind of warm up. And then, of course, Reaper's fantastic original character was the main event of the stream. More work to be done on that character, but we got the bulk of it done. I'd say like 60 to 70% done just in a couple hours, which always feels good. But yeah, I hope you guys take care of yourselves, and I will be streaming again tomorrow by noon Eastern time. There will be a coming soon video popping up on my channel, so you can either click on that to notify you, or just subscribe, and then YouTube supposedly will tell you about it. If not, I stream every day, so hope to see you guys again. All right, take care. Bye.